Chapter 239, I really didn't mean to live off a woman. With the backlash from the love goo, I felt that the other party truly bore no malice toward me. If we meet again in the future, I can try to learn more about the situation with this goo worm. Changxing, can I learn from you? At this moment, a Lu family disciple looked up to Lu Changxing as if on a pilgrimage. Brother Changxing, you are indeed a role model for our generation. Does this count as being kept by a woman? What being kept by a woman, this is eating soft rice with gusto. Indeed, the most devoted lover of Qingzhou Mountain. Ah, I thought I had been through thousands of flowers without a single leaf touching me, a master of love, only today did I realize how vast the world is. The most ruthless should be that Sister Miaoyun from the Miaoyun clan is right beside him, shouldn't it? I can't learn this, I can't learn this. Just now I didn't dare to miss a single moment, waiting eagerly for Lu Changxing to speak, and in the end, he said nothing. Silence is more eloquent than words, just this move is enough for us to ponder for a lifetime. Once Meng Xiaoqian left, many Lu family disciples dared to voice their discussions. The situation had just about suffocated them. Many Bai family cultivators also deeply remembered this scene today, as well as the name Lu Changxing. I really didn't intend to live off a woman's support. Watching the gazes around him, Lu Changxing reluctantly thought to himself as people approached him for guidance. He felt like he had become someone living off a woman in everyone's eyes. Cough, cough. At that moment, the Lu family ancestor descended from the sky, coughing lightly twice, signaling everyone to quiet down and disperse. Lu Changxing, what's the matter with you and the fellow cultivator from before? The Lu family ancestor also inquired of Lu Changxing. The recent event had truly dumbfounded him. He was immensely shocked inside. Ah. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing pondered for a moment. Later, with a bitter smile, he said, Ancestor, I encountered her severely injured on my way to the Nine Dragons market, and I saved her life. After that, she invited me to explore a cave mansion, where some things happened, Lu Changxing vaguely stated. After all, he didn't have any way to explain such matters, so he could only make up a story. As for whether they believed him or not, that was no longer his concern. I see. Changxing, we owe you a great deal this time. Rest assured, we will reward you for your service and credit you with the highest merit, the Lu family ancestor said in a mild tone. Everyone had their own chance encounters and secrets. It would be embarrassing for him to pry further. He only knew that if it weren't for Lu Changxing knowing this foundation establishment great cultivator today, the Lu family would have been in trouble. Moreover, as long as Lu Changxing stayed with the Lu family, relying on his relationship with this foundation establishment great cultivator, they would have an additional deterrence against others. Thank you, ancestor. Lu Changxing slightly bowed and said. Okay, you all rest here and stay vigilant, said the Lu family ancestor, not saying much more. He then began the task of cleaning up Red Leaf Valley with the others. Yuner, I didn't mean to keep this from you, Lu Changxing said to his wife Lu Miaoyun, feeling the need to explain. It's okay, husband, as long as you have Yuner in your heart, Lu Miaoyun replied softly, shaking her head. She had long come to terms with Lu Changxing's situation regarding wives and concubines. Now, seeing a foundation-building great cultivator falling for her husband, it was false to say she didn't feel threatened. But at the same time, she also felt a sense of achievement in her heart. She thought it was well-deserved that it was her husband. Changxing, did you also get your second-rank talisman in that cave mansion? At that moment, the fourth elder asked. Yes, Granny, the elixir medicines I used to save Sister Miaoga and these few second-rank talismans were gained from that adventure in the cave mansion, Lu Changxing explained. Right away, he attributed some of his chance encounters to Meng Xiaoqian. Hearing this, the fourth elder did not continue to question further. Allowing Lu Changxing to rest here, she went about her business, beginning to tally the spoils and collect the resources of the Qin family. Dusk dimmed, the setting sun was like blood, mirroring the crimson valley, hugely beautiful. As the sun set, the people from the Lu and Bai families felt heartily content, a sense of peaceful beauty filled the air. The cultivators from the Qin family turned into angry and desperate ghastly heads filled with rage and despair. The upper echelons of the Lu and Bai families were organizing the situation in Red Leaf Valley. Lu Chongqing was chatting with his wife Lu Miaoyun on the side. Lu Miaohuan had brought her sister Lu Miaoge over to join in the fun as well. However, it was only Lu Miaohuan speaking the entire time, chirping questions non-stop. Lu Miaoge sat quietly on the side, a picture of serene beauty. At that moment, whose spirit boat is that? Be careful, on guard. Someone looked to the sky and shouted loudly. Lu Chongqing raised his head. He immediately saw a spirit boat hurtling towards them, stopping above Red Leaf Valley. Right after, 3 cultivators descended from the flying boat. An elderly man with gray hair and a black robe. A middle-aged man around 40, with an imposing face and dressed in a blue-green robe. And a young man in a crimson brocade robe. The elderly man in the black robe and the man in the blue robe emitted a terrifying aura and pressure. 2 Foundation Establishment Great Cultivators. Noticing these 3, Lu Chongqing could tell, aside from the young man in the crimson robe, the other 2 were Foundation Establishment Great Cultivators. The young man in the crimson robe looks dressed like a Qin family member from Red Leaf Valley. As for these 2, could they be the Wugong Ridge Xing family ancestor and the Bai Lake Mountain Foundation Establishment Great Cultivator? Lu Chongqing thought to himself. The nearby major cultivation families all had their own family colors. Qingzhou Mountain was known for its green, with clothes often featuring bamboo and bamboo leaf patterns. The Qin family of Red Leaf Valley was known for their red color. Whereas Wugong Ridge's Xing family was black, and Bai Lake Mountain's Yu family was blue-green. Therefore, seeing the sudden appearance of these 3 people, through their clothing and appearance, Lu Chongqing made a guess about their identities. Chapter 240, I really didn't mean to live off a woman. _4 After all, there are only so many major cultivation families around. Now that the Lu family and the Bai family have made a move against the Qin family, the Yu family and the Xing family are unlikely to just sit by and watch. Once the Lu family and the Bai family swallow up the Qin family's cultivation resources and gain Red Leaf Valley as a spiritual land, they will be able to develop rapidly. By then, the birth of new foundation-building great cultivators will pose a threat to those around them. Beforehand, the Lu family had anticipated the possibility of the Wugong Ridge Xing family getting involved, hence the need for swift action. If this man in blue robes really is from the Bai Lake Mountain Yu family, it seems that the Yu family has also been paying attention to the affairs between the Lu family and the Qin family, hoping to get a slice of the pie, Lu Chongqing contemplated in his heart. Thinking of the earlier matter when the 3rd young master of the Yu family had come to recruit him. He felt it was quite normal for the Yu family to want to intervene. Just now, both the Lu family ancestor and the Bai family ancestor were injured, and with the Yu family having 2 foundation-building great cultivators, plus the Xing family ancestor, that makes 3 foundation-building great cultivators. It's hard to say how this matter will be resolved, Lu Chongqing sighed internally. He knew it wouldn't be easy for the Lu family to take down the Qin family. Before he could think further, he saw 3 streaks of rainbow light flying out from the depths of Red Leaf Valley. They were the Lu family ancestor, Bai family ancestor, and Lu Yuanzhong, who were in the process of cleaning up the Qin family. Greetings to Lu Daoist, Xing Daoist. May I ask why the 2 esteemed Daoists have come here? The Lu family ancestor said to the man in blue robes and the man in black robes. The Bai family ancestor and Lu Yuanzhong also looked at the 2 with disfavor, vaguely guessing the purpose of their visit. This old ancestor came here at the invitation of Patriarch Qin to visit Red Leaf Valley, the Xing family ancestor in black robes replied, looking at the 3 of them. He was inwardly shocked. He had received a call for help from the Qin family, learning that the Lu family had given birth to a new foundation establishment Great Cultivator and had joined forces with the Bai family to attack Red Leaf Valley. To his surprise, the Qin family had fallen so quickly. He couldn't help but feel fortunate to have encountered the patriarch of the Yu family on the way. Otherwise, coming here alone would have been dangerous. Lu Daoist, a few days ago, Patriarch Qin sent young Master Qin to our Bai Lake Mountain, stating that the Qin family is willing to become a vassal of our Yu family. So, I have come here with young Master Qin, intending to discuss this matter in detail with the Qin family. What are you doing here in Red Leaf Valley? The patriarch of the Yu family said calmly to the Lu family ancestor and his group. He was also surprised that the Qin family had already fallen, and that both the Lu family ancestor and the Bai family ancestor were still alive. He had received news of the Lu family and Bai family joining forces to attack the Qin family. He had initially thought that this battle would at least result in the demise of both the Lu family ancestor and Patriarch Qin, with the Bai family ancestor seriously injured. Then their Yu family could reap the benefits of the fishermen. But unexpectedly, both the Lu family ancestor and the Bai family ancestor in front of him were not dead. They were only injured, with their aura in disarray. Becoming vassals. The Lu family ancestor, Bai family ancestor, and Lu Yuanzhong's faces all darkened upon hearing this. It was clear to them why the Yu family and Jing family had come. The Qin family of Red Leaf Valley and our Lu family are mortal enemies. With my impending death, I wish to settle the grudge between our families before I pass. What, do you, Lu Daoist and Jing Daoist, plan to interfere? The Lu family ancestor spoke, no longer courteous, and said coldly. He was prepared to die, and after uniting with the Bai family and spending a massive amount of resources, they had finally annihilated the Qin family. Now that the Yu family and Jing family had come, they expected him to spit out the meat that was already in his mouth, as if such an easy thing existed in the world. Even if the Yu family was much stronger than their Lu family, with two foundation establishment great cultivators, their Lu family was not to be trifled with. The words of Lu Daoist are incorrect. We of the Yu family naturally would not intervene in the grudges between your Lu family and the Qin family. But since Patriarch Qin has expressed his wish for the Qin family to become a vassal of our Yu family, this is a matter we have to care about, the Patriarch of the Yu family stated with a serious expression. You say that the Qin family, having become a vassal of your Yu family, makes it your vassal. Now that old Ghost Qin is dead, why not let him speak for himself? Bai family ancestor also snorted coldly. Clearly, the opposite party was setting up a clear opportunity for plundering in the wake of disaster, and he naturally was not in a mood to converse nicely. Young Master Qin, please explain the situation to the two Taoists. The patriarch of the Yu family turned and instructed the young Master Qin in a crimson brocade robe beside him. Indeed, my Qin family has decided to become vassals of Bai Lake Mountain's Yu family. Therefore, this Red Leaf Valley also belongs to the Yu family, young Master Qin said, looking towards Red Leaf Valley before speaking with eyes full of hatred. Who are these mongrels, presuming to speak for the Qin family? There is no longer a Red Leaf Valley Qin family. The Lu family ancestor said coldly, taking action at once. He launched a man-filled longsword towards young Master Qin. Bang! With a gesture, the patriarch of the Yu family broke the man-filled longsword. Then he spoke indifferently, Lu Daoist, if that's how it's going to be, are you saying you wish to be at odds with my Bai Lake Mountain? Quite at odds, indeed. The Lu family ancestor chuckled derisively and said, in ordinary times, my Lu family might indeed fear your Yu family by 3 points. But this old man doesn't have much time left, and before death, I'd like to recklessly challenge Lu Daoist's divine skills. While speaking, he turned his gaze towards the Jing family ancestor and said, Old Ghost Jing, do you intend to meddle in this matter? The Lu family ancestor spoke calmly, but his eyes carried a fierce and ruthless menace. To grow into a Foundation establishment ancestor was not merely a matter of talent or meditation cultivation. He had also experienced countless bloodbaths. It was only as he aged and became an ancestor that he began to cultivate his temperament and nature. "I have no intention of meddling," the Jing family ancestor said with a smile. "But the Qin family once owed my Jing family a debt of resources. Now that your Lu family and the Bai family have destroyed the Qin family, to whom should I turn for that debt? After all, you know the situation of my Jing family, Daoist Lu. Absorbing the Qin family, you wouldn't miss that bit of resources, would you?" said the Jing family ancestor. Naturally, he could see that both the Lu family ancestor and the Bai family ancestor were injured. But he did not wish to conflict with either of them. After all, if a Foundation establishment cultivator truly fought with all their might, it may not end in death, but significant injuries would likely result. Moreover, aside from the Lu family ancestor, there were also the Bai family ancestor and Lu Yuanzhong, the latter being a newly advanced Foundation establishment cultivator, present. Yet he couldn't just walk away without a share of benefits. Lu Daoist may indeed bargain for a few moves without issue. But our Golden Sun ancestor is also on his way here. "Do you really think you can defeat me?" said the patriarch of the Yu family as he unleashed a crimson-yellow wheel and an ice-blue crescent wool from his sleeve, readying for battle. Spiritual light surged around him, and he exuded an incredibly fierce spiritual pressure and bravery. Golden Sun ancestor. Upon hearing this name, the Lu family ancestor, the Bai family ancestor, and Lu Yuanzhong all narrowed their eyes, aware of the formidability of this Golden Sun ancestor. And their current state left them with no confidence of capturing the patriarch of the Yu family alive. Besides, there was also the Jing family ancestor nearby. "It seems that your Yu family has resolved to be the fisherman who benefits from the quarrel," said the Lu family ancestor. "But aren't you curious, Patriarch Yu, as to how our two families managed to breach the Qin family so swiftly?" he continued. Upon hearing this, both the patriarch of the Yu family and the Jing family ancestor were visibly taken aback. Inside Red Leaf Valley. Is a fight about to break out? Lu Chongqing mused as he watched from below the tense standoff above, with the patriarch of the Yu family summoning his spiritual artifacts and showing a ferocious stance. But the very next moment, he saw the patriarch of the Yu family's crimson-yellow will turn, unleashing a wave of crimson and yellow flames that swept over and instantly reduced the nearby young Master Qin to ash. Right after, 5 Foundation-building great cultivators ascended to board the spirit boat in the sky. What's this? Could it be that they've negotiated a truce? Lu Chongqing furrowed his brow in curiosity. He hadn't expected that one moment there seemed to be an impending clash, and the next, they ceased hostilities, killed that Qin family youth in the red robe, and together boarded the spirit boat. If these two really are Foundation establishment great cultivators from Bai Lake Mountain and the Jing family of Wugong Ridge, then the Lu family and Bai family will have to concede some benefits this time. After all, it's not just about seizing territory, but also being able to hold it. Only when you have the strength to defend and gain recognition from the surrounding area can you truly take possession, otherwise, as the saying goes, lose the people and you lose the land. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. Although the Lu family and the Bai family had taken down Red Leaf Valley and killed Ancestor Qin, they had yet to take full control of the valley. Moreover, both the Lu family ancestor and the Bai family ancestor were not in the best condition, and Lu Yuanzhong had just reached Foundation establishment. Under these circumstances, it would indeed be difficult to hold Red Leaf Valley against the Yu family and the Jing family. If the conflict were to escalate, his survival would become all the more precarious. I hope for a peaceful resolution, Lu Chongqing silently wished. He hoped that the families would maintain peace and stability, allowing him time to grow and develop quietly. From the earlier battle where Meng Xiaoqian, the Lu family ancestor, and the Bai family ancestor teamed up against Ancestor Qin, he realized that killing a Foundation establishment great cultivator was still a daunting task. With the help of a second-rank puppet, a talisman treasure, and the treasure bone technique, he could defeat a Foundation establishment great cultivator, but if the opponent fought desperately and used all their methods, he too would get injured. Though he had life-substituting talismans and was not overly worried, at this stage, Lu Chongqing still preferred to avoid encounters with great cultivators of Foundation establishment. He simply desired steady growth, secretly advancing all the way to Foundation establishment. Chapter 241, Foundation Establishment, Sorted. _1, how come 2 Foundation establishment great cultivators suddenly came here? That black-robed elder must be the ancestor of the Wugong Ridge Xing family, right? That should be the case. As for the other one, if nothing unexpected has happened, it should be the Foundation establishment ancestor from the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain. Why would the Yu family of Bai Lake Mountain be together with the Xing family of Wugong Ridge? They must have seen us conquer Red Leaf Valley, so they want to get a piece of the action. Exactly, just now from the looks of it, they were almost going to make a move. Now that our 2 families have just taken down Red Leaf Valley, the Yu family and Xing family have sent people. It's obvious they want to take advantage of the situation. Inside Red Leaf Valley, many of the Lu family and Bai family cultivators looked at the scene in the sky, guessing the intentions of these 2 Foundation establishment great cultivators, and couldn't help but become filled with righteous indignation. Today, their 2 families had finally taken down Red Leaf Valley and were about to enjoy the fruits of victory. But now, before they could even pick and enjoy the fruits, the Yu family and Xing family had Foundation establishment great cultivators arriving. Clearly, they wanted to snatch away the fruits of victory. Naturally, this made everyone very unhappy. Even if they were unhappy, everyone only dared to discuss it quietly. Lu Chongqing, thanks to you knowing that Foundation establishment great cultivator, or else today we might have really been taken advantage of in the chaos, said Lu Miaohuan, also speaking up indignantly. Obviously, she was very upset about the 2 Foundation establishment great cultivators coming to take advantage of the situation. Right, Lu Chongqing, what's inside the gift that Foundation establishment great cultivator gave you? Lu Miaohuan continued, with no hint of her initial aloofness, chatting away like a chatterbox with a curious look on her face. Just some spirit stones and cultivation resources, Lu Chongqing replied casually. He hadn't yet carefully checked the gift that Meng Xiaochan had given him. Had only taken a quick glance at it. He saw that the storage bag was filled with a bunch of spirit stones, along with 2 porcelain bottles and a jade box. Cultivation resources. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaohuan didn't ask any further. She went on to say, when we return this time, the family will hold a ceremony to honor our contributions, and you'll definitely be greatly rewarded. Then you won't be lacking cultivation resources. I suppose so. Lu Chongqing wasn't very concerned about the reward. After all, with his talisman-making skills and occasionally earning a side income, he wasn't lacking cultivation resources. If there was anything he was lacking, it would be a Foundation establishment elixir. But it was clear that the Lu family didn't have a Foundation establishment elixir. Even if they did have one, they wouldn't give him a Foundation establishment elixir as a reward. Looking at the chattering second miss in front of him, Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow and said, "Second miss, what if I don't ask for any resources as a reward but instead ask the family head for an engagement? What do you think he would agree to?" "Ah!" Lu Miaohuan gasped in surprise upon hearing this, subconsciously thinking that Lu Chongqing was considering asking Lu Yuanding for her hand in marriage. A wave of shyness overcame her, leaving her mind completely blank. Her delicate face, fair as white jade, instantly turned a heated red. "How would I know such a thing?" Lu Miaohuan cried out, her cheeks burning with embarrassment as she shouted loudly. Then she quickly stood up and left, stirring up a fragrant breeze. Is she that easily embarrassed? Lu Chongqing watched as Lu Miaohuan, graceful and flustered, hurried away, shaking his head with a smile. He found that teasing the second miss was quite amusing, especially since she often appeared cold and noble, but in reality, was quite susceptible to teasing. Just a little teasing would make her shy and flushed, far too interesting. But his words weren't entirely for the sake of teasing Lu Miaohuan. He indeed had this thought. But not about asking Lu Yuanding for an engagement to marry Lu Miaohuan. Rather, it was about asking Lu Yuanding for an engagement to marry Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan together. After all, his relationships with both sisters had reached this point, so it was time to clarify things. Quietly seated by his side, Lu Miaoge was also slightly startled when Lu Chongqing asked that question, and she lightly pursed her lips. After seeing her sister blush and flee, she sighed softly. Then, with a serene expression and a gentle tone, she said, "I'm going to check on Huan Huan." "Sister Miaoge," Lu Chongqing called out to Lu Miaoge. "What is it?" Lu Miaoge turned to look at Lu Chongqing, her expression calm. But her eyes, deep as autumn waters, revealed a hint of panic. "Sister Miaoge, if I asked the family head for an engagement, would you be willing to marry me?" Lu Chongqing asked her through a transmission. He felt that Lu Miaoge's mindset was such that she would struggle to get over her own reservations. Especially since the relationship he had with Lu Miaohuan would likely increase the tension for Lu Miaoge. So Lu Chongqing thought that he needed to be more proactive with Lu Miaoge. "It's okay, Sister Miaoge, you can give me an answer later." Seeing that Lu Miaoge was pursing her lips without speaking, Lu Chongqing didn't press her and said so. He knew such matters couldn't be rushed. He needed to give the other person some time to think it over. "Emisham." Then Lu Miaoge nodded slightly, giving a simple acknowledgement, and left with a heart in turmoil. "Husband, when you ask Uncle Yuanding for an engagement, is it to propose to Sister Miaohuan or Sister Miaoge? Or do you intend to marry both Sister Miaoge and Sister Miaohuan together?" Lu Miaoyun asked, pouting towards Lu Chongqing with a hint of jealousy in her teasing voice. Lu Chongqing felt a bit awkward being teased by his wife, and he unconsciously touched his nose. After all, there he was, flirting with other women while his wife was by his side. And those women were his wife's sisters. Even though Lu Miaoyun had previously brought up the topic, it was still somewhat embarrassing for him. "I think Sister Miaohuan has long harbored deep feelings for you, my husband. If you ask Uncle Yuanding for her hand in marriage, I'm sure he'd agree," she said. "But if you, my husband, ask Uncle Yuanding for an engagement, intending to marry both Sister Miaoge and Sister Miaohuan at the same time, that might be a bit difficult." Chapter 242, Foundation Establishment, Sorted. Lu Miaoyun looked at her husband in this state, and tilted her head adorably as she said, "Yuner feels wronged." Lu Chongqing didn't care about his wife's jesting and gently embraced her, whispering softly, "Husband." Lu Miaoyun hugged Lu Chongqing, resting her head against his chest. She indeed had come to terms with Lu Chongqing taking more wives and concubines. But to say she felt no grievance at all was certainly impossible. Or rather, when Lu Chongqing had only bought some maids, she didn't mind. But if Lu Chongqing truly married Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan, it was certain that neither woman would become a concubine. Under such circumstances, she would inevitably feel somewhat jealous as his wife. If husband really wishes to marry Sister Miaoge and Sister Miaohuan, he could ask the family ancestor to grant the marriages, Lu Miaoyun said softly as she snuggled against Lu Changsheng's chest. Though she felt a little jealous, considering that even a foundation-building great cultivator behaved that way towards her husband, who knew whether her husband would marry other women in the future. Rather than that, it was better for her husband to marry her sisters instead. At least they were family, well acquainted, and capable of living together harmoniously. Yuner. Lu Chongqing was even more remorseful hearing his dear wife giving him advice at this time. He made up his mind that he must properly compensate Lu Miaoyun in the future. Night fell. "Chongqing, Yuner, come back with me." The busy fourth elder and two family elders prepared to steer the flying boat, taking some of the disciples and the wounded back to Qingzhou Mountain first. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoyun promptly boarded the flying boat, returning with the fourth elder. After all, there was nothing left for them to do in Red Leaf Valley. It was better to return and rest sooner. Grandmother, are those two Foundation Establishment great cultivators from Bai Lake Mountain Yu family and Wugong Ridge Xing family? Once the flying boat set off, Lu Chongqing asked the fourth elder. Although he had already guessed that the two Foundation Establishment cultivators were from the Yu and Jing families, he still wanted to confirm it with the fourth elder, to understand the current situation. Yes, those two Foundation Establishment cultivators are indeed by Lake Mountain Yu family's Foundation Establishment ancestor and the Jing family ancestor from Wugong Ridge, the fourth elder nodded and said. The Yu family has wolfish ambitions. We had already noticed the Yu family's interference during the disputes between the Lu and Qin families. Now it seems, many incidents from back then cannot be separated from the Yu family. Chongqing, we were fortunate to have you this time, prompting Elder Meng to help us out. Otherwise, we would have truly let the Yu family profit from our misfortune, the fourth elder continued, with a tone mix of indignation and relief. She was very clear. If it hadn't been for Meng Xiaoquan's intervention, allowing the Lu and Bai families to quickly break the Great Formation, and the two family ancestors only suffering injuries, today they would have most certainly fallen victim to the Yu family's ploy. The Yu family, Lu Chongqing muttered, nodding slightly. He thought of the time when the third young master of the Yu family had tried to recruit him, and the incident where Lu Miaogo was attacked by 4 robber cultivators, as well as his and the second elder's encounter with an ambush on the way back. At that time, he had obtained a Yu family token from the 3 robber cultivators and felt that the attackers were sent by the Yu family, yet he was not certain. Now, hearing the words of the fourth elder, he knew in all likelihood it was the Yu family's doing, aimed at weakening the Lu family's power, as well as deepening the animosity and friction between the Lu and Qin families so they could profit from it. Grandmother, what's the situation now? Lu Chongqing continued to ask. The Yu family, though tyrannical and overbearing, does not wish to completely fall out with our Lu and Bai families and come to blows, but this matter won't just end peacefully. The current situation involves our Lu and Bai families conceding some interests to the Yu family. As for the specifics, grandmother is not clear. We must wait for the family ancestor to make a decision, the fourth elder explained. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing nodded in understanding. He realized that's how the matter was settled. What followed would be the division of interests. While the Lu family has 2 Foundation Establishment cultivators, our overall strength is far inferior to that of the Yu family. Now the Lu family ancestor doesn't have much time left, but the Yu family's 2 Foundation Establishment cultivators have quite a few years ahead of them. Previously, the third young master of the Yu family mentioned that within 10 years, the Yu family would have a 3rd Foundation Establishment cultivator, if they really do produce a 3rd Foundation Establishment cultivator. I'm afraid the Lu, Bai, and Jing families would have to form an alliance. Lu Chongqing couldn't help but think to himself. He felt if the Yu family truly produced a 3rd Foundation Establishment cultivator, there would likely be no peace, and it wouldn't be so easy for him to lie low as he wished. I still need to achieve Foundation Establishment sooner to truly gain a foothold. If the Yu family really causes trouble later on and affects my development, I might as well use the Book of Malevolent Curses and Fates against them, Lu Chongqing pondered. Chongqing, can you still contact that Elder Meng? At that moment, the fourth elder asked Lu Chongqing. Grandmother, I did not keep a contact method with Miss Xiao Chan. Lu Chongqing shook his head slightly, understanding that probably the fourth elder wanted him to invite Meng Xiaochan to stand by and deter others, giving the Lu family more confidence and weight in the upcoming hearings and profit distribution. But he truly didn't have any way to contact Meng Xiaochan. No matter, grandmother was just asking, the fourth elder responded with a slight nod, without further comment. She could tell there was something unusual about the relationship between Lu Chongqing and that Foundation Establishment great cultivator. It was only because of the current situation of the Lu family that she had asked, hoping that through Meng Xiaochan, a Foundation Establishment great cultivator, the Lu family could alleviate some of the pressure. After all, the upcoming division of interests was simply a matter of strength. Under the full-speed flight of the spirit boat. Chapter 243, foundation establishment, sorted. 8 hours later, they returned to Qingzhou Mountain. Under the pitch-dark night, the entire Qingzhou Mountain emitted a faint spiritual light. It looked like it was draped in a layer of green gauze, solemn and mystical. Lu Chongqing could tell that this effect was due to the activation of Qingzhou Mountain's Great Formation to a certain extent. Keeping the Great Formation active must have consumed a considerable amount of energy. The clan elders guarding Qingzhou Mountain saw that it was Fourth Elder and the others, and they immediately opened part of the formation to inquire about the frontline situation. Upon learning that the Lu family and Bai family had successfully taken Red Leaf Valley, they were overjoyed and welcomed everyone inside. Chongqing, Miaoyun, you have also worked hard all day, go back and rest early. After entering Qingzhou Valley, Fourth Elder said to Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoyun. She still needed to arrange treatment for the wounded with the other elders. This battle had resulted in quite a few of the Lu family disciples sustaining injuries that required treatment. Grandma, you should rest early too. Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoyun nodded in agreement. They immediately went back to rest. There were still lights on in the house. Chu Xinjin and a few maidservants had not yet rested, obviously worried about them. Seeing Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoyun return, they immediately felt relieved. It's all right now, go to sleep early. Lu Chongqing wrapped his arms around his beloved wives and returned to their room to rest. He did not overexert himself. After such a busy day, although he was not tired, Miaoyun clearly seemed exhausted. The next day, Lu Chongqing woke up and, after showing affection to his wives, proceeded to the study. He took out the storage bag that Meng Xiaochan had given him the day before. He checked to see what was inside. In an instant, a pile of spirit stones appeared in the room. Lu Chongqing counted them, and there were a total of 2,000. He then turned his attention to the white jade porcelain vase and the white jade brocade box in the storage bag. It was clear that these jade porcelain vases and brocade boxes were used to hold more valuable elixir medicines and treasures. Out of caution, Lu Chongqing took out his second-rank puppet. Then he stood aside, letting the puppet open the porcelain vase and the jade box. Seeing the vase and the box open safely without incident, Lu Chongqing knew he had been overthinking. Is this blood spirit Ganoderma? Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. He immediately saw in the jade box a Ganoderma the size of a baby's arm, enveloped in a mist of red, a blood-colored Ganoderma. He recognized the Ganoderma immediately. Having read widely, he knew that this Ganoderma, like the blood sun fruit he had acquired from Xiaolong, was a Foundation establishment spirit object. It was helpful for challenging the blood and energy barrier among the 3 barriers of Foundation establishment. Is this because I had previously obtained from her Foundation establishment spirit objects for the mana barrier and the divine sense barrier, but lacked one for the blood and energy barrier, so she specifically brought this to me? Lu Chongqing looked at the blood spirit Ganoderma in front of him, somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected the other party to actually bring him a Foundation establishment spirit object. Although he already had a spirit object for breaking through the blood and energy barrier, and during Foundation establishment, one could only use one of each type of Foundation establishment spirit object at most, nobody would complain about having too many such objects. Not to mention keeping it for his children's use, selling it could at least fetch 3,000 spirit stones. Seeing the blood spirit Ganoderma, Lu Chongqing was more anticipative of the contents within the 2 porcelain vases. He closed the jade box and looked inside the porcelain vases. What's this? Lu Chongqing looked at the elixir medicines in the porcelain vase, his pupils contracting sharply, hardly able to believe it. He then poured the crystal-clear elixir medicines from the vase into his hand to examine them carefully. A moment later. It really is a Foundation establishment elixir, and there are 2 of them. Lu Chongqing, looking at the 2 elixir medicines in his hand, took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. For a time, he didn't know what to say. He had been wondering where he would find a foundation establishment elixir for his own breakthrough. But unexpectedly, Meng Xiaoqian had directly delivered them to him now. And she had given him not one, but two. This foundation establishment elixir has a dark color. It looks to be a substandard product that would result in some elixir toxicity and have a somewhat lower efficacy. But this one is a genuine, high-quality foundation establishment elixir. Lu Chongqing looked at the two foundation establishment elixirs in his hand and again did not know what to say. Initially, he had held some grudges against Meng Xiaoqian in his heart, thinking that he would seek revenge when they met in the future. But now, seeing these two foundation establishment elixirs, Lu Chongqing felt that the animosity between them could be considered settled. With these two foundation establishment elixirs, I don't have to worry about finding one anymore. There is no need to devise a way to acquire them. Next, I just need to stay safe and cultivate until I reach the perfection of qi refinement, then I can directly attack foundation establishment. Lu Chongqing felt excited in his heart. He had originally felt that he had a 50 to 60% chance of successfully reaching foundation establishment. Now that his spiritual root had improved to middle grade, and he had foundation establishment elixirs to assist him, Lu Chongqing felt confident his foundation establishment was in the bag. However, where did she get these foundation establishment elixirs from? To be able to give away two at once. No, she has also achieved foundation establishment, which means she had at least 3 foundation establishment elixirs. At that moment, Lu Chongqing was somewhat astonished by Meng Xiaoqian's wealth. She seemed like a truly rich woman. The first time they met, he had obtained 2 foundation establishment spirit objects from her. The second time they met, he received a goo insect, and Meng Xiaoqian fell in love with him. Now on their third encounter, she had brought him gifts. Not just 2,000 spirit stones, 1 foundation establishment spirit object, but also 2 foundation establishment elixirs. If foundation establishment spirit objects can be considered rare treasures, then foundation establishment elixirs are priceless commodities. Even the inferior foundation establishment elixir among the two could fetch tens of thousands of spirit stones if sold, desired by countless people. 3 foundation establishment elixirs just like that. Could it be that she acquired the materials to refine them in the Purple Shadow secret realm? Lu Chongqing speculated in his heart. After all, besides the Purple Shadow secret realm, a loose cultivator hardly has any means to obtain foundation establishment elixirs. Considering Meng Xiaoqian's capabilities, it would be normal for her to make some gains in the Purple Shadow secret realm. Still, before foundation establishment, I must not reveal this substandard foundation establishment elixir, or it'll surely attract unwanted attention. Lu Chongqing placed the 2 foundation establishment elixirs back in the porcelain vase and stored them in his storage bag. He resolved not to expose the foundation establishment elixirs until he made his breakthrough to foundation establishment. It's difficult for a loose cultivator to obtain a foundation establishment elixir, one reason being they're rarely seen. Moreover, even if a foundation establishment elixir appeared at a large auction, you would need the strength to keep it. After all, such elixirs aren't just needed by qi refinement cultivators. Many factions and foundation establishment great cultivators also require foundation establishment elixirs to nurture their juniors. Hence the pricelessness of foundation establishment elixirs, each appearance sparking a violent and bloody frenzy. Receiving a foundation establishment elixir so effortlessly, and from a girl at that, does this count as being kept by a rich lady? Lu Chongqing thought about the foundation establishment elixir had been obsessing over, which had come into his hands so easily, and he felt like it was a dream. He remembered the jade pendant given to him by a nascent soul immortal. As long as he achieved foundation establishment, she would offer him an opportunity. Sigh, I really didn't intend to live off a woman. Lu Chongqing sighed softly, feeling that if things continued this way, he really would end up being supported by a woman. Chapter 244, Spiritual Field, Shop, Cave Dwelling. _1 3 days later. Lu family ancestor led a group of Lu family cultivators back to Qingzhou Mountain, signifying that the matter in Red Leaf Valley had come to an end. Lu Miaohuan and her sisters returned along with Lu Yuanding. Sister, do you think Lu Chongqing will really come to propose? After returning home, Lu Miaohuan shyly asked her sister Lu Miaoge. These past few days, she had constantly been pondering the words Lu Chongqing said before, wondering if Lu Changsheng's talk of proposing was real or just a joke. It had left her feeling anxious these past days. As long as you nod to show your willingness, maybe Lu Chongqing will come to propose today. Lu Miaoge, watching her sister's shy appearance, smiled gently and said softly, knowing that her sister had deep feelings for Lu Chongqing. If it weren't for the restraint and shyness of being a woman, she would have probably agreed already. Thinking this, she sighed softly in her heart. Not just Lu Miaohuan. She, too, felt unsettled these past days. Lu Changsheng's words continuously echoed in her mind. She wondered, if Lu Chongqing really came to propose, would she agree? After 3 days of deliberation, Lu Miaoge had roughly come to a conclusion. Should it really come to that, and if Lu Chongqing indeed came to propose, she would still agree and not refuse. But even having reached such a conclusion, she still couldn't get over her emotional hurdle. Unsure of how to face Lu Chongqing, how to answer his question. Can't he see whether I'm willing or not? Does he still need to ask me? Could it be that I should take the initiative to speak up? Lu Miaohuan's tempting red lips pursed, and she said somewhat bashfully. She felt that such matters shouldn't require her to take the initiative to tell Lu Chongqing that she was willing and for him to come to propose. That would be too embarrassing. Moreover, this is something that Lu Chongqing should take the initiative to do. Then she herself, upon her father's inquiry, should state that the matter of marriage is her father's decision, and she would abide by her father's arrangement. I just happen to have something to discuss with Lu Chongqing. Since that's the case, how about I probe a little for you, drop a hint to him? Lu Miaoge, seeing her sister act this way, could not help but speak up. Although she now felt a bit scared to see Lu Chongqing, fearing what Lu Chongqing might ask her in return. But as the saying goes, an elder sister is akin to a mother. For the sake of her sister's happiness, she still chose to have a talk with Lu Chongqing. Emichim. Lu Miaohuan lightly hummed a response, her voice as faint as a mosquito's. If it were before, her pride would never allow her sister to take the initiative in giving hints. She would wait for Lu Chongqing to propose of his own accord. But having initially thought Lu Chongqing had died, she had a change of heart. She had let go of her pride when it came to Lu Chongqing. At the same time, Lu Miaoyun was also at home pondering the matter of her husband and her cousins, Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan, thinking of how to facilitate the marriage proposal. After all, she could see that her husband indeed had feelings for her 2 cousins. In such a situation, as a wife, it is natural to share her husband's worries and difficulties. Of course, she also had her own selfish reasons. Meng Xiaoquan's appearance had inevitably made Lu Miaoyun feel a sense of crisis. She wanted to do something for her husband. Moreover, she hoped that after her husband married Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan, he would concentrate on cultivation, focus on the talisman path, and stop spending too much attention on other women. Although I suggested to my husband that the elder could give a marital blessing, I'm certain he will not do so. He will definitely seek the consent of Sister Miaoge and Miaohuan before proposing, Lu Miaoyun thought to herself. Having lived with her husband for so many years, she knew his nature well. She knew that in such matters, he would definitely respect the other party's wishes and seek their consent. He would not rashly propose nor let the elder grant the marriage without the other party's agreement. It's clear that Miaohuan likes my husband, and if he proposed, she would surely agree. But as for Sister Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun continued her contemplation. She delved deep into thought about her cousin's situation. And she didn't know how to describe the relationship between her husband and Lu Miaoge. I remember that Sister Miaoga used to interact with my husband not as they do now, right? This reflection suddenly made Lu Miaoyun feel that the relationship between Lu Miaoga and her husband had become somewhat strange. But she couldn't quite put her finger on what was strange. It seemed that they were still close, yet they both appeared somewhat constrained. Especially Lu Miaoga. I recall that in the past, Sister Miaoga used to treat my husband much like she did our younger brothers and sisters, very naturally, but now, Sister Miaoga seems different around my husband, lacking that easygoing vibe. That's right, it's that naturalness that's missing. Although they seem to still be close, Miaoga hardly speaks to my husband recently, as if she is somewhat avoiding him. Lu Miaoyun continued to ponder, recalling the circumstances between her husband and Lu Miaoga. No, it's not just when facing my husband. It seems Sister Miaoga is also a bit unnatural around me. It was right after Sister Miaoga returned injured, things seemed off. Lu Miaoyun thought carefully, realizing that something had been amiss with Lu Miaoga for about half a year, but she hadn't given it much thought at the time and had not paid much attention. Now, on reflection, she immediately sensed that there was a problem. She felt that something must have happened between her husband and Lu Miaoga at that time, which was why Lu Miaoga was acting this way. During that time, Sister Miaoga had a close brush with death at the hands of a robber's cultivator, barely clinging to life, and it was my husband who rescued Sister Miaoga. Something must have happened during that, and that's why Sister Miaoga is behaving like this. Chapter 245, Spiritual Field, Shop, Cave Dwelling. What is it? Lu Miaoyun pondered incessantly in her heart. Suddenly, a thought struck her. Could it be? How is that possible? Lu Miaoyun was also startled by her own guess. But apart from that reason, she could think of no other at the moment. And the more she thought about it, the more she felt that it was indeed the reason. If that's really the case, Sister Miaoga would surely be willing to marry my husband, right? Lu Miaoyun's elegant brows furrowed slightly, somewhat puzzled. That's right, Sister Miaoga has always been aloof, non-competitive, and extremely caring towards us. Even if Sister Miaoga truly has feelings for my husband, under such circumstances, she probably feels guilty towards me and unwilling to marry my husband. Moreover, Sister Miaohan also harbors feelings for my husband. The idea of sisters marrying the same man must be somewhat unacceptable to Sister Miaoga. In addition, Sister Miaoga is wholly devoted to cultivation and has no intention of marrying. If she were to marry my husband, she would inevitably think about having children, which would cause her some worry. Lu Miaoyun speculated and inferred non-stop in her heart, based on her understanding of Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoga. She felt that she had guessed the heart of the issue. If that is the case, I need to talk to Sister Miaoga about it. Lu Miaoyun thought, preparing to seek out Lu Miaoga for a talk. To see if it was as she had guessed. Just as she stepped out the door, she saw a strikingly beautiful woman standing outside, with long flowing hair, dressed in white surpassing the snow, and exuding an ethereal and refined aura. Sister Miaoga. Lu Miaoyun was surprised to see Lu Miaoga outside the door. She hadn't expected to just be preparing to look for Lu Miaoga when the latter was already at her doorstep. Miaoyun. Lu Miaoga hadn't expected Lu Miaoyun to suddenly come out of the door. She had come to speak with Lu Chongqing about her sister's matter. But upon reaching the door, she hesitated for a while, unsure of how to face Lu Chongqing. Fearing how to respond should Lu Chongqing ask. Sister Miaoga, are you here to see my husband? I also happen to have something to discuss with you. Lu Miaoyun said with a smile on her face. You have something to discuss with me? Lu Miaoga was taken aback, somewhat surprised. Wondering what Lu Miaoyun wanted from her. Then, Lu Miaoyun invited Lu Miaoga into her room. Sister Miaoga, do you have something you need from my husband? Lu Miaoyun asked. No, nothing in particular. Lu Miaoga shook her head. In front of Lu Miaoyun, she really didn't want to admit she had come to talk about a match for her sister. Miaoyun, what was it you said you needed to discuss with me just now? Lu Miaoga gently smoothed her hair and asked. Sister Miaoge, what do you think of my husband? Lu Miaoyun tilted her head and asked. What do you mean by how is he? Lu Miaoge was slightly startled. Lu Miaoyun didn't understand the meaning of her words. Just your impression of your husband, Sister Miaoge, in all aspects as a person, I mean. Lu Miaoyun directly sat next to Lu Miaoge, wrapped her arm around hers, and said with a smile brimming in her eyes. Because Lu Miaoge had been learning talismans from the fourth elder, she got along very well with Lu Miaoge. Changxing is good in all aspects as a person. Lu Miaoge didn't know why Lu Miaoyun was asking this and spoke softly. Her impression of Lu Changxing was indeed favorable. In terms of looks, abilities, and character, he was truly outstanding. Of course, his faults were also very clear. As a cultivator, he was too indulged in the company of women. If Lu Changxing could focus on his cultivation and hold the great Tao in his heart, her opinion of him would be even higher. It seems that your husband has made a good impression on you, Sister Miaoge. So, Sister Miaoge, would you be willing to marry your husband? Lu Miaoyun asked jokingly. When Lu Miaoge heard this, her heart suddenly stirred. She had not expected Lu Miaoyun to say such a thing. She spoke softly, Miaoyun, don't joke about this. Sister Miaoge, I'm not joking. Lu Miaoyun looked at her usually calm and gentle clan sister, now showing such a demeanor. She became more certain that something had definitely happened between Lu Miaoge and her own husband. It was likely just as she had guessed. Sister Miaoge, I can see that my husband likes you very much. And you, Sister Miaoge, you also have some feelings for my husband in your heart. Lu Miaoyun continued. Miaoyun. When Lu Miaoge heard this, she pursed her lips, signaling her to stop talking. Sister Miaoge, if I'm not mistaken, something must have happened between you and my husband, right? You seem to have a bit of an avoidance complex when facing me and when facing my husband. Sister Miaoge, are you worried about something because of me? If it's because of what I've said, I think you don't need to care, because I don't mind it. Lu Miaoyun looked at Lu Miaoge and said it outright. Miaoyun, Lu Miaoge had never expected that Lu Miaoyun would guess the matter between her and Lu Changxing. And that she would say it so candidly. It left her at a loss for words. Sister Miaoge, apart from me, do you have other concerns? If it's about Sister Miaohuan, I believe she wouldn't mind either. Is it about cultivation? I know Sister Miaoge, you are devoted to cultivation, but marrying my husband wouldn't affect your practice. In fact, seeing that you and my husband already have feelings for each other, instead of letting these emotions hinder your practice, it would be better to become Tao companions and cultivate together. If you are worried about childbirth, my husband will not force anyone on this matter. If you don't want to have children, you can just tell him directly. Seeing Lu Miaoge like this, Lu Miaoyun knew she must have guessed correctly and said everything all at once. Lu Miaoge pursed her lips and found herself unable to speak. Chapter 246, Spiritual Field, Shop, Cave Dwelling. She never expected that her affair with Lu Changxing, as well as the turmoil in her heart, would all be laid bare by Lu Miaoyun. Sister Miaoge, if I said that I wasn't a bit disappointed with our husband's philandering ways, it would certainly be a lie. But our husband really treats us well and doesn't play favorites, so you can rest assured. And you've also seen what happened before with our husband and that foundation establishment great cultivator. I think such incidents may occur again in the future, and although I can't stop our husband, I just want to avoid it as much as possible. So, I also have my own selfish desires, hoping that Sister Miaoge and Sister Miaohuan would marry our husband to lessen his dalliances outside. Lu Miaoyun continued to speak with a tone of sincerity. Lu Miaoge pressed her lips together and remained silent. She also thought about Meng Xiaocan's matter. In her heart, she knew that Lu Changxing possessed a fateful secret. Under such circumstances, if Lu Changxing could focus on his cultivation and concentrate on the talisman path, maybe he really could achieve foundation establishment. She had always hoped that Lu Chongqing would devote himself to cultivation. Not always to be so indulgent in the pleasures of women. Lu Miaoyun, seeing the look on Lu Maiage's face, discerned that her heart was already wavering, caught in a dilemma. Seizing the moment, she pressed on, "Sister Miaoge, if you still have concerns, you be the senior, and I'll be the junior. Miaoyun, don't be like this." Lu Miaoge was already feeling somewhat flustered by Lu Miaoyun's words. This statement completely dumbfounded her. She hadn't expected Lu Miaoyun to make such a sacrifice. "Does this mean you agree, Sister Miaoge?" Seeing Lu Miaoge like this, Lu Miaoyun asked with a mischievous smile. Lu Miaoge wanted to say that she had not agreed at all. But Lu Miaoyun had gone so far, and she felt that she had no reason to refuse. Indeed, as Lu Miaoyun had said, she already had feelings for Lu Chongqing, and it was impossible to cut ties with him. Avoiding it wasn't a solution either. It might be better to marry Lu Chongqing and cultivate together. She could also encourage Lu Chongqing to be diligent in his cultivation. Moreover, she also knew that if she did not accept, Lu Chongqing would not easily give up. Furthermore, she had previously thought to herself that if Lu Chongqing really did come to propose marriage, she would agree and not refuse. Emisham. Immediately after, Lu Miaoge lowered her eyes and nodded gently. "That's wonderful." Seeing Lu Miaoge nod, Lu Miaoyun's eyes curved into crescent moons with joy. She then asked, "By the way, Sister Miaoge, now you can say what brought you here, right?" She didn't believe Lu Miaoge had come without reason. Would one just wander over and linger at the door without entering? "It's about Huan." Lu Miaoge sighed slightly and said, "Miaoyun, you can see that Huan is quite fond of Chongqing, and back in Red Leaf Valley, Chongqing mentioned the matter of proposing. Thus, Huan has been preoccupied with it these past few days. So I came to discuss this with Chongqing and to settle his and Huan's affair." Lu Miaoge said as much. "Sister Miaoge, did our husband also use spiritual communication to ask you this question?" Lu Miaoyun nodded, inquiring. At that time, Lu Chongqing had called after Lu Miaoge and then fell silent. But Lu Miaoyun could tell that her husband was speaking through spiritual communication. And she guessed what the contents of that communication might be. Emisham. At this point, Lu Miaoge had nothing to hide and nodded somewhat bashfully. "So Sister Miaoge, you were at the doorway just now because you didn't know how to reply to our husband, right?" Lu Miaoyun's face showed a look of realization. She quickly spoke up, "Sister Miaoge, don't worry about it. Given the situation, I'll take care of things for you and Sister Miaohuan with our husband. I'll speak to him." Lu Miaoyun said so. She knew the character of her clan sister well. She understood that for Lu Miaoge to discuss such a matter with Lu Chongqing, it would indeed be embarrassing and difficult. And after everything she had just said, Lu Miaoge must surely be somewhat unsettled in her heart. She would need some time to calm down. Truly letting her tell Lu Chongqing by herself, her thoughts might change again. "Then I'll trouble you, Miaoyun." Lu Miaoge breathed a sigh of relief and said so. Then she said her goodbyes and left. In this short time, her heart, which she had finally calmed down a few days before, became chaotic again. "We're going to be family after all, Sister Miaoge, there's no need to be so formal." Lu Miaoyun immediately got up to see Lu Miaoge off. "Humph, you rotten husband, you better make it up to me later." After sending Lu Miaoge out the door, Lu Miaoyun couldn't help feeling a bit sour as she thought about how she, as a wife, was actually helping her own husband find another woman, and snorted softly. And after Lu Miaoge had left, she gradually came back to her senses. She hadn't expected that coming over to speak on behalf of her sister would result in losing herself in the process. Sigh. Lu Miaoge, having already agreed, said nothing more, only letting out a light sigh. However, at this moment, she felt a certain sense of liberation and relaxation. For the past half year, this matter had been hanging over her, making it hard for her to concentrate on her cultivation. Inside the study. Sister Miaoge agreed too. Lu Chongqing, hearing Lu Miao's words, couldn't help but express his surprise. He wasn't worried about Lu Miaohuan's side at all. Knowing her immediate attitude at the time, she had essentially agreed. His thoughts had always been on Lu Miaoge, wondering how to unravel her emotional knots. He hadn't expected his sweet little wife to solve the problem. Yes, Sister Miaoge has agreed. So, husband, how do you plan to reward me? Lu Miaoyun pouted and said in a soft voice. What reward do you want, Yuner? Lu Chongqing, seeing his sweet little wife's demeanor, instantly scooped her up to sit on his lap, his hands wandering. Husband, Lu Miao's beautiful eyes half closed, her gaze flowing, she bit her lower lip and breathed somewhat rapidly. She then leaned weakly against the desk. As a thoughtful and considerate man, Lu Chongqing also tenderly held his delicate wife's waist. At that moment, spring was abundant in the study. 2 days later, the Lu family ancestor came to find Lu Chongqing, expressing that thanks to him, their attack on Red Leaf Valley had been a success. Therefore, as a reward for his contributions, they granted him 100 acres of spirit farmland. Additionally, it was announced that before long, Red Leaf Valley would be jointly managed by the Lu family, Yu family, Bai family, and Jing family, and it would be established as a cultivation marketplace. At that time, the Lu family would allocate a shop and a cave dwelling for Lu Chongqing in Red Leaf Marketplace. Thank you, ancestor. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing bowed his thanks. This reward was indeed generous. Firstly, the 100 acres of spirit farmland from Qingzhou Mountain would bring Lu Chongqing a considerate and stable income. Once the Red Leaf Valley Marketplace was established, as long as it got bustling, a shop would become a money tree. So this one shop and one cave dwelling were effectively 2 money trees. Lu Chongqing knew in his heart that he could obtain such a rich reward entirely because of Meng Xiaochan. Otherwise, with how he and Lu Miaoyun had been previously getting by, participating just for the sake of it, being rewarded with 100 or so spirit stones would have been considered a large reward. How could such an abundant reward be possible? Like the spirit farmland of Qingzhou Mountain, it was managed by the Lu family elders, who let the spirit farmers take care of it. Now, however, they had given out 100 acres as a reward to him. Lu Chongqing guessed this was also the Lu family's way of adding another layer of ties to him. Our Lu family never treats its own members poorly, this is what you deserve. Chongqing, if you have any other requests, feel free to mention them. The Lu family ancestor said cheerfully. Chapter 247, Sister Miaoge, why don't you teach Wan? _1 Ancestor, I have no other requests, I just need to trouble you with one matter. Lu Chongqing paused slightly after hearing the words of the Lu family ancestor and spoke with a respectful bow. A couple of days ago, after Lu Miaoyun had told him that her sister, Lu Miaoge, consented to marry him, he planned to go to Lu Yuanding to propose. To take both sisters as his wives. But when he was about to propose formally, Lu Chongqing felt stuck. He somewhat didn't know how to broach the subject. After all, whoever proposes marriage by asking for 2 daughters of a family at once? Even though Lu Changsheng's face had thickened quite a bit, he truly did not know how to start the conversation with Lu Yuanding. In the end, he decided, just as his wife Lu Miaoyun suggested, to ask the Lu family ancestor to bestow the marriage. He and Lu Miaoge, as well as Lu Miaohuan, were mutually fond of each other. So having the Lu family ancestor play matchmaker was quite in line with reason. It would not involve anything forceful. Oh. You need my help. The Lu family ancestor was mildly surprised to hear that Lu Chongqing needed assistance from him. He then said directly, what is it? Speak freely. I am fond of the family head's daughter and would like to ask the ancestor to play matchmaker for me, Lu Chongqing said with respect. Fond of Yuanding's daughter. The Lu family ancestor smiled upon hearing this. He thought it was some major issue. He did not expect it to concern the affairs of young men and women. But knowing about Lu Changsheng's preference for marrying and having children, he felt reassured. He cheerfully said, "Since there is mutual affection between you two, I will take on the task and play matchmaker for your marriage. But I recall that Yuanding has 2 daughters, with which one are you mutually fond? Could it be Miaoge?" The Lu family ancestor asked thus. He did not meddle in family affairs, but he was very clear about many things within the family. He knew of Lu Yuanding's 2 daughters, especially Lu Miaoge, who was not only talented in cultivation but also a high-quality talisman master. Lu Changsheng's manner made him guess that Lu Changsheng wanted to marry Lu Miaoge. Ancestor, I am mutually fond with both daughters of the family head," Lu Changsheng said somewhat sheepishly. "What, you are mutually fond of both of Yuanding's daughters?" The Lu family ancestor was taken aback upon hearing this. He did not expect Lu Changsheng's request for matchmaking involved not 1, but 2. To marry away both of Lu Yuanding's daughters. He instantly understood. No wonder Lu Changsheng requested his help to play matchmaker instead of proposing himself. If Lu Changsheng personally went to propose, declaring he wanted to marry both of Lu Yuanding's daughters, not to mention being kicked out, but for sure Lu Yuanding would not give him a good expression. "Fine, since there is mutual affection, I will play matchmaker for you." The Lu family ancestor didn't say much more and simply agreed. Setting aside that Lu Changsheng spoke of mutual affection, even if there had been no mutual affection, so long as Lu Changsheng asked and his descendants did not oppose him, he would be willing to match them with Lu Changsheng, a man of great destiny. After all, Lu Changsheng was also one of the Lu family's own. Marrying several Lu family women was of no concern. It wouldn't only prevent talent from leaving the family, but it would also bind Lu Changsheng even closer to the Lu family and integrate him further into the family. "Many thanks, ancestor." Seeing the Lu family ancestor agree so readily, Lu Changsheng also breathed a sigh of relief and bowed immediately in thanks. No need for such formality. Do you have any other matters?" "Don't be shy, you may bring them up," the Lu family ancestor said to Lu Changsheng with a cheerful smile. "Ancestor, I have no other matters," Lu Changsheng responded respectfully. "All right, since there are no other matters, then I will go and speak on your behalf. As for whether it will be successful, I cannot guarantee. Of course, if, as you say, there is mutual affection, there should not be any problem," the Lu family ancestor said. He would not make such promises outright and guarantee success. "I understand, thank you for the trouble, ancestor," Lu Changsheng said as he bowed. He had asked about Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan, it was just that he simply didn't dare to face Lu Yuanding, his future father-in-law. Afterward, the Lu family ancestor did not stay long and said a few words before departing. Lu Changsheng saw him off with great respect. "Husband, did you mention the matter of Sister Miaoge and Miaohuan to the ancestor just now?" After Lu Changsheng had seen off the Lu family ancestor, Lu Miaoyin stepped forward and asked. She had already thought it through. If Lu Changsheng truly couldn't broach the subject, she would trouble the 4th elder, to have the 4th elder speak on behalf of Lu Changsheng. "The ancestor has already agreed," Lu Changsheng nodded and did not hide it. He also shared the reward the Lu family ancestor had given him. 100 mu of spirit farmland, a shop and a cave dwelling in Red Leaf Valley Market. Lu Miaoyin was startled upon hearing about the reward, her mouth slightly agape in surprise. Because the reward was quite substantial. 100 mu of spirit farmland, even if used to grow the most ordinary spirit rice, after deducting for seeds, fertilizers, and the like, leaving everything else to spirit farmers to manage, would yield over 1,000 spirit stones a year. 1,000 spirit stones a year was no small income wherever one might be. Even for the current Lu Changsheng, it represented a significant income, which would also greatly lighten his burden in raising children. And once Red Leaf Valley Market was established and bustling, the shop and cave dwelling would also bring in a handsome income each year. So it was not an exaggeration to say that the Lu family ancestors' reward was generous. However, Lu Chongqing only realized the specific value of the 100 mu of spirit farmland after hearing Lu Miao's explanation, because he had not cultivated spirit land before. He was not aware of the concept behind 100 mu of spirit farmland. Does this mean, from now on, I could also live off collecting rent? Chapter 248, Sister Miaoga, why don't you teach Wanwan? Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly. 100 acres of spirit field and a shop, a cave dwelling, just by collecting rent, can allow 90% of cultivators to live a comfortable life. He also roughly understood why property could occupy one of the spots in the spell of wealth and partners. Many loose cultivators dream of owning a piece of spirit land. Not just because they need spirit land for cultivation, but also because owning a piece of spirit land means having the means of production and endless income. No need to wander around for a living anymore. Yuner, when this spirit field reward is granted, it'll trouble you to take care of it. Lu Chongqing said to Lu Miaoyun. He had to cultivate, make talismans, and spend time with his wives and children every day, and he simply had no time to worry about too many things. Matters like the spirit field and other internal affairs were naturally entrusted to his wives to manage. And he was very confident in Lu Miaoyun. Husband, rest assured, you focus on cultivation, let your concubine handle such matters. Upon hearing Lu Chongqing entrust her with the 100 acres of spirit field, Lu Miaoyun felt trusted and sweetly agreed. Although she didn't know much about farming, she knew that the Lu family had a mature system in this area. She didn't need to manage anything personally. All she needed to do was oversee it occasionally and wait to collect the money. After leaving Lu Chongqing, the Lu family ancestor went straight to Lu Yuanding's place. Ancestor, what brings you here? Upon learning of the ancestor's visit, Lu Yuanding didn't dare to delay and rushed over immediately. Compared to Lu Changsheng's respect, everyone in the Lu family revered the ancestor from the bottom of their hearts. Lu Chongqing has asked me to be his matchmaker, so the ancestor has come to propose a marriage on behalf of Lu Chongqing, said the Lu family ancestor. Regarding his own descendants, the Lu family ancestor was straightforward. Ancestor must be speaking of Chongqing and Huaner, right? I was also thinking of speaking with Lu Chongqing about this matter, but I never expected that the ancestor would come personally. Upon hearing this, Lu Yuanding immediately showed a smile. He had planned to deal with his daughter Lu Miaohuan's affairs after finishing his hectic schedule in the coming days. After all, he had seen his daughter's feelings for Lu Chongqing with his own eyes. He had even caught them in an intimate moment last time. He thought it was time to settle the matter. Despite Lu Chongqing having many wives and being quite amorous, which displeased him, he feared his daughter would suffer if she married into such a situation. But putting that aside, he was quite satisfied with Lu Chongqing in other respects. Moreover, since his own daughter liked Lu Chongqing, what else was there to say? Lu Yuanding had not expected that Lu Chongqing would have the ancestor come to propose marriage personally. Far from being annoyed, he felt somewhat relieved. Because in his view, such an action showed Lu Changsheng's affection and value for his daughter. Oh. It seems that what Lu Chongqing said is also true. However, Lu Chongqing has asked me to come here to say that both of your daughters are mutually in love with him, the Lu family ancestor said with a chuckle. What? Both? He asked the ancestor to come and propose, not only to Huaner but also to Sister Miaoga. Lu Yuanding, who had been showing a relieved smile, suddenly changed his expression upon hearing this. He was mentally prepared to marry his daughter Lu Miaohuan to Lu Chongqing. But now, hearing that Lu Chongqing wanted to marry his eldest daughter as well, it was difficult for him as a father to accept at the moment. Yes, it seems to be so. This youngster didn't have the face to come and propose in person, so he asked the old man to be the matchmaker, explained the Lu family ancestor, shaking his head slightly at Lu Yuanding's reaction. This, sigh. After a moment of silence, Lu Yuanding let out a deep sigh. He knew Lu Changsheng's character well. Lu Changsheng was not one to take advantage of others or bully by virtue of his position. If he asked the ancestor to come and propose marriage, it was probably because he had genuine feelings for his daughter Lu Miaoge. Even so, thinking about Lu Changsheng wanting to take away both his daughters made him quite upset, his fists clenched involuntarily. When did Changsheng and Miaoge start having feelings for each other? Lu Yuanding couldn't help thinking. He was so busy with his duties that he failed to notice that his eldest daughter had also become involved with Lu Changsheng. But the next moment, he immediately guessed that it must have been when Lu Miaoge and Lu Changsheng were managing the spiritual talisman shop together at the Nine Dragons market, and then she was misled by that youngster. Thinking this, Lu Yuanding's expression turned sullen, and he felt a wave of disappointment. Ancestor, I still want to ask about my Ayage's thoughts on this matter. Lu Yuanding said through gritted teeth. As for his younger daughter Lu Miaohuan, he felt there was nothing to ask about. Her heart was already with Lu Changsheng. But for his eldest daughter Lu Miaoge, he thought he still wanted to ask. To see if his daughter truly liked Lu Changsheng. If she really did, then it was fine. But if not, even if the ancestor came to propose, he, as a father, would stand up for his daughter. The ancestor would also like to know how this youngster managed to steal away the pearl of our Lu family. The Lu family ancestor nodded, saying with a chuckle. After a while, Lu Miaoge arrived in the hall. Dad. Did you call for me? Greetings to the ancestor. Seeing the Lu family ancestor drinking tea in the hall, she immediately greeted him respectfully. Miaoge, Lu Changsheng says that you and he are mutually in love, and so he has asked me to come here to propose marriage. Is this true or false? The Lu family ancestor looked at Lu Miaoge and asked with a smile. Upon hearing these words, Lu Miaoge's lovely cheeks blushed immediately. After what Lu Miaoyun said the day before yesterday, she had been somewhat restless when she went home, thinking about the possibility of Lu Changsheng coming to propose. She never expected that Lu Changsheng would actually ask the ancestor to come and propose. Chapter 249, Sister Miaoge, why don't you teach Wanwan? Ah. Upon witnessing this scene, Lu Yuanding had wanted to ask some questions. But seeing his daughter like this, he suddenly felt there was nothing to question anymore. He knew that the relationship between his daughter and Lu Changsheng was not just about mutual affection but was also extraordinary. Alright, if that's the case, 1 month from now is an auspicious day. Let's hold the wedding then. I will personally preside over the marriage and share in the joy with a toast. Seeing this, the Lu family ancestor also found his answer and didn't inquire further, immediately making the decision. He was also somewhat curious about what kind of capabilities Lu Changsheng possessed. After all, he had won the affections of both of Lu Yuanding's daughters. It reminded him of how a foundation establishment great cultivator in Red Leaf Valley had fallen for Lu Changsheng. This matter remained unfathomable to him even now. After all, it was utterly impossible to captivate so many female cultivators solely with one's appearance. There must be something exceptional about him in other aspects. But during his visit to Lu Changsheng's residence, he could tell that Lu Changsheng wasn't using any heretical methods. His aura was upright and serene, his wives and concubines radiant, with nothing amiss. Miaoge will follow the arrangements of the family ancestor and father. Lu Miaoge said softly with a shy bow of her head. At this moment, all the unease in her heart dissolved. All that remained was shyness and a hint of joy. Good, Yuanding, you arrange this. Just let me know when it's time, said the Lu family ancestor. Yes, family ancestor, Lu Yuanding responded helplessly with a cupped fist salute. After all, at this point, what more could he say? Afterward, the Lu family ancestor took his leave. Miaoge, when did you and Chongqing begin? Lu Yuanding sighed slightly and asked his daughter after seeing off the family ancestor. He still felt somewhat unwilling to let go. He wanted to know when exactly Lu Chongqing had stolen away his eldest daughter. It was when I encountered a robber cultivator, and Chongqing saved me, Lu Miaoge said softly with her head bowed, not hiding anything from her father. Upon hearing this, Lu Yuanding felt somewhat relieved, and it eased his mind significantly. He knew that if not for Lu Chongqing, his eldest daughter would have perished then. He then had a chat with his eldest daughter before going to inform his younger daughter. He told her that her marriage with Lu Chongqing was settled and would take place in a month. Lu Miaohuan was initially shocked, not expecting the arrangement to be made so swiftly and feeling suddenly bashful. But learning that Lu Chongqing was not only marrying her but also her sister, she was stunned for a moment. However, after Lu Yuanding's explanation, she silently pondered for a moment and then came to terms with it. She quickly accepted the situation. After all, she had already accepted Lu Changsheng's numerous wives and concubines, and naturally wouldn't mind her own sister. Before long, half a month passed. The news that Lu Chongqing was about to wed the Lu family's eldest miss and the second miss spread across Qingzhou Mountain, stirring up much discussion. Damn, what the hell, Lu Chongqing is getting married again, and to both Sister Miaoge and Sister Miaohuan. Our Lu family's two beauties are being swept away by one man. How can you call it being swept away? This is clearly keeping the resources within our own field. Yeah, marrying Lu Chongqing is still marrying within our Lu family, right? The family head actually agreed to this marriage. I heard that Sister Miaoge and Sister Miaohuan are indeed in love with Brother Chongqing, so the family head could only agree. SSS, truly worthy of being our Qingzhou Mountain's #1 romantic. Not only did he charm a foundation establishment great cultivator before, but now he's silently won over both Sister Miaoge and Sister Miaohuan. In this regard, I respect no one but Lu Chongqing. I'm not surprised that Lu Miaohuan is marrying Lu Chongqing, but I didn't expect Sister Miaoge to marry him as well. Yeah, I thought Sister Miaoge would remain unmarried for life. I support this marriage. That's right, I also support it. If not for Lu Chongqing, when we and the Bai family attacked Red Leaf Valley, we might have been outplayed by the Yu family. As the news of Lu Changsheng's upcoming marriage to Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan circulated, Qingzhou Mountain buzzed with excitement, with many people discussing it. If it was just Lu Miaohuan getting married, people wouldn't have much to talk about. At most, they would remark in amazement that Lu Chongqing was taking a wife again. But Lu Chongqing was marrying both sisters at once. Especially Lu Miaoge, who not only had a great talent for cultivation and a good reputation but was also a top-quality talisman master. Many Lu family disciples thought Lu Miaoge would remain unmarried for life. Yet unexpectedly, Lu Miaoge was going to marry Lu Chongqing. And she was marrying him along with her sister Lu Miaohuan. So this made everyone feel incredibly moved. But it was just a sentiment and discussion, without any real objection. After all, by now, Lu Chongqing had thoroughly integrated into the Lu family. He had shared in their trials and tribulations, contributing to their victories, making him one of their own. The immortal seedlings who had originally come to Qingzhou Mountain with Lu Chongqing, upon hearing this news, felt a mix of envy and awe but no longer had any strong emotions or other feelings on the matter. Having been in Qingzhou Mountain for over a decade, they had gradually accepted reality and come to terms with their ordinariness. They understood that not everyone with a spiritual root stepping onto the path of immortality could achieve success in cultivation. The path of immortality was difficult, filled with countless dangers. 99% of cultivators spent their lives inconspicuously in the qi refinement realm. Now, Lu Chongqing was growing farther and farther away from them. He had reached a point where they no longer compared themselves to him or discussed him on equal terms. Sometimes they would reminisce about their initial arrival at Qingzhou Mountain with Lu Chongqing as a son-in-law and regret not having formed a good relationship with him. As for the discussions in Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Chongqing was unaware and unconcerned. During this time, he devoted his time to accompanying his wives and concubines. Chapter 250, Sister Miaoge, why don't you teach Wan? _4 After all, I was about to take another wife, and I needed to properly comfort the women in my harem. Also, because of the issues between the Lu family and the Qin family, I was worried about accidents, which was why I hadn't let my wives and concubines bear children for some time. Now that the storm had passed, the Lu family had returned to tranquility. I could continue to live in peace, so naturally, it was time to get busy with childbearing. In the past half a month, with Lu Changsheng's continuous efforts, the concubines Xiao Yuyao and Xiao Yueru became pregnant. As for Lu Miaoyun and Chu Xinjin, Lu Chongqing was taking it slow with them, thinking of letting the two women rest more and spend some time on cultivation. After all, one had given birth to 3 children for him, and the other to 4, they deserved more breaks. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. On this day, it was the day of Lu Changsheng's wedding with Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan. The ceremony was extremely grand and lively. One could say it was a celebration for the entire clan. The whole of Qingzhou Mountain was joyous, draped in colored lights, adorned with large red lanterns. Early in the morning, Lu Chongqing, with the care of his 2 beautiful wives, Lu Miaoyun and Chu Xinjin, was adorned with a golden crown and dressed in a red groom's brocade. With a big red flower on his chest, he rode a spiritual horse, leading the wedding procession with drums and gongs to the residence of Lu Yuanding to welcome the bridal sedan. I pay my respects to my father-in-law. As soon as Lu Chongqing entered the door, he saw family head Lu Yuanding and immediately dismounted to respectfully perform a salute. Chongqing, Huaner has a somewhat willful disposition. I hope you can be more understanding, Lu Yuanding, the family head, said with slightly red eyes, patting Lu Changsheng's shoulder. Even though he was somewhat displeased that Lu Chongqing had married both his daughters, he still hoped that Lu Chongqing would treat his daughters well. Please rest assured, father-in-law, Lu Chongqing said earnestly as he clasped his hands together. Good. Lu Yuanding nodded, and once again patted Lu Changsheng's shoulder, saying, I believe in you. After a while, supported by 2 bridesmaids, Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan appeared. Both were dressed in phoenix crowns and rosy clouds robes, their exquisite faces veiled by the tassels hanging from the fiery red phoenix crowns, hiding their stunning visages from view. But their graceful figures, adorned in those gorgeous phoenix robes, were stunningly beautiful and dazzled all who saw them. Lu Chongqing looked at the 2 women before him, a smile on his face, and felt a surge of pride and joy well up from within. After all, Lu Miaoge was the first fairy he had encountered in the cultivation world. A woman who had caused his heart to flutter. Back then, to him, Lu Miaoge was a woman to be admired from afar. But at this very moment, she was about to become his wife. Not just that, both Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan had middle-grade spiritual roots. They were to become his only 2 wives with middle-grade spiritual roots. This gave him hope that the spiritual roots of his future children could reach an even higher level. Lu Chongqing stepped forward to assist the 2 women onto the bridal sedan. He could feel that both women had somewhat stiff palms, obviously nervous. Even Lu Miaohuan was more nervous than Lu Miaoge. This brought a smile to Lu Changsheng's face, and he gently pinched the tender palm of this second young miss. After sending the 2 women into the bridal sedan, Lu Chongqing mounted his horse and led the wedding procession grandly back. Since both families resided within Qingzhou Valley, the procession circled the entirety of Qingzhou Mountain, much like the time he had married Lu Miaoyun. I still remember when Lu Chongqing married Sister Miaoyun, who would have thought had been marrying both Sister Miaoge and Miaohuan today. Yes, I still remember Lu Chongqing from 10 years ago, when he came to our Lu family as an immortal seedling. In 10 years, from a son-in-law taken in through marriage to a top-notch talisman master, marrying Miaoyun, as well as Miaoge and Miaohuan, he's reached the peak of life. Everyone makes their own choices, Lu Changsheng's way of life, I suppose, leaves him with no regrets. 10 years, how many decades does one have in a lifetime, eh? In 10 years, Lu Changsheng went from a son-in-law to this point, yet over my 10 years, many people, looking at Lu Changsheng riding atop the spiritual horse with a face full of pride and satisfaction, couldn't help but feel touched and introspective. Over the past decade, most of the Lu family disciples had also come to accept Lu Changsheng. But remembering how Lu Changsheng had arrived at Qingzhou Mountain as a son-in-law years ago, it felt like a lifetime had passed, a feeling that made them sigh with emotion. Thus, Lu Changsheng, riding his spiritual horse, leading the bridal sedan and the wedding procession, made a full circuit around Qingzhou Mountain and arrived at the Qingzhou Grand Hall. The Qingzhou Grand Hall was originally the central hall for the Lu family's meetings. It was in consideration of the Lu family ancestor personally overseeing the wedding ceremony, and the face of the family head Lu Yuanding, that this place was chosen for the wedding. For this wedding, even the normally plain hall had been decorated sumptuously. Lu Changsheng dismounted and escorted the two brides, each in their phoenix crown and rosy clouds robes, from the bridal sedan. Together, they held a red silk ribbon and entered the great hall. To the sound of harmonious music, the three of them entered the main chamber. Familiar faces met their gaze. The Lu family ancestor sat in the main seat, wearing a smile, personally presiding over the wedding. Lu Yuanding and the fourth elder sat nearby, serving as the elders from both sides. Begin the ceremony and exchange vows. The Lu family ancestor's voice bellowed clearly. Thereupon, Lu Changsheng, along with Lu Miaoge and Miaohuan, came before Lu Yuanding and the fourth elder. First salute to heaven and earth. Second salute to the high hall. Couple bow to each other. Under the witness of the Lu family's high-ranking members, Lu Changsheng and the Miaoge sisters completed the ceremony and exchanged vows. Following was the procession to the bridal chamber. However, after taking the two women to the bridal chamber, Lu Changsheng still had to return to receive guests. Changsheng, I once told you that as my son-in-law, you should treat Qingzhou Mountain as your own home, but now I have something more to say to you. Chapter 251, Sister Miaoge, why don't you teach Wanwan? _5 At this moment, the Lu family ancestor, with his somewhat clouded eyes, looked at Lu Changsheng, and spoke in a gentle voice. Ancestor, please speak. Lu Changsheng said respectfully upon hearing this. I know you have your own opportunities and secrets, which is why I've always been guarded. But I hope you remember one thing, you are the son-in-law of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. We are one family, so Qingzhou Mountain is your support. You are not alone. If there's anything, you can always talk to me. The Lu family ancestor spoke, his elderly voice exceedingly gentle, like that of an ordinary senior teaching his junior. Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat upon hearing this. He could feel the sincerity in the words. He could tell that now the Lu family ancestor was exuding an aura of death. He knew that the battle at Red Leaf Valley had taken a toll on the already limited years of the Lu family ancestor. Whether it was the previous rewards, the matchmaking, or now these words, there was an undeniable element of coaxing. Hoping that he would stay with the Lu family. But regardless, the old man's actions and words touched his heart deeply. The young one understands, please be at ease, ancestor. As long as I am the son-in-law of the Lu family, I will not fail the family, Lu Changsheng said to the Lu family ancestor with unwavering conviction. Now that his relationship with the Lu family had reached this stage, he naturally could not let them down. Even if he were to leave the Lu family in the future and establish his own clan, the ties with the family could not be easily severed. After all, he was not a person of heartless and ungrateful nature. He always remembered those who were kind to him in his heart. Good. The Lu family ancestor smiled upon hearing this. He patted Lu Changsheng lightly and said, Go on, go to the bridal chamber, don't keep them waiting. Thank you, ancestor. Lu Chongqing smiled and bowed his hand slightly. After making a quick toast, he headed to the bridal chamber. Having been through the experience several times, the bridal chamber was now familiar territory for Lu Chongqing. With the maid Kuei-si attending, Lu Chongqing used the jade balance beam to lift the red veils of the two brides and remove their tasseled phoenix crowns. Suddenly, two extremely beautiful faces that even phrases like national beauty and heavenly fragrance were insufficient to describe were revealed to Lu Chongqing's eyes. Miaoge, who was originally ethereal and otherworldly, now had her cheeks tinted with makeup, making her fair, snowy complexion blush with a warm luster, coquettish and touching, radiant and charming, like a fairy descended to the mortal world. Miaoge's dreamy, mesmerizing eyes met Lu Chongqing's intense gaze, and she immediately became like a panicking deer, her beautiful head lowered shyly, a wave of bashfulness rising in her heart. This scene was an unparalleled beauty to Lu Chongqing, the most stunning landscape on earth. And the usually aloof and noble second young mistress, today, had completely melted her ice mountain demeanor. Her eyes brimming with emotion as she looked at Lu Chongqing, her delicate features now adorned with a hint of adorable shyness, charming and bewitching. Sister Miaoge, Huan, you are truly beautiful. Lu Chongqing took a deep breath and praised generously. If he hadn't been through so much, seen so many things, just looking at his two charming brides in front of him might have been too much to handle, and he wouldn't be able to maintain such calm and composure. Then, taking the wedding cup from the tray held by the maid Kuei-si, he said, Sister Miaoge, Huan, today we become husband and wife, and from now on we shall journey through life together. Come, let us drink this cup to the full. Immediately after, the three of them drank the joint cup wine together. After finishing the wine, Lu Chongqing suddenly chuckled and said to Miaoge, life is unpredictable. When I first saw Sister Miaoge, I thought of you as an untouchable fairy, high above. I never imagined that one day I could marry you. Turning his gaze to Miao Huan, he continued, when I first saw Huan, I thought she was both cold and fierce. And now? Miao Huan, hearing Lu Chongqing describe her sister as a fairy and herself as cold and fierce, immediately objected with pouted lips. Her lips pursed, glistening and fresh as the most tender petals in the world, tempting Lu Chongqing to taste them carefully. From now on, you are flawless. Lu Chongqing gazed at the second young mistress before him and said, before promptly tasting those petals. Miao Huan let out a soft moan, reminded that her sister was still there. But her body tingled all over and she began to tremble, unable to utter a sound. Then a series of rustling noises commenced. Lu Chongqing, the second young mistress, wrapped her snow-white arms around Lu Chongqing's neck involuntarily, her eyes slightly squinted, murmuring softly. Lu Chongqing gently clasped her creamy skin, trailing off with a drawn-out tone. Husband, Miao Huan called softly, then her beautiful eyes closed tightly, her delicate features slightly furrowed, her head tilting back. Her exquisite, beautiful face blushed, her breath heaving with soft moans, her body shaking unceasingly. Miaoge, abashed beside them, didn't know how to react upon seeing her sister in such a state. But seeing her sister's plaintive behavior, she awkwardly comforted her while feeling somewhat flustered and shy. She could clearly feel her sister's body incredibly soft and scorching at this moment. Sister Miaoge. Lu Chongqing turned to Miaoge, taking her delicate hand and slowly moving it. That gesture made Miaoge's heart surge with unending shyness. Her breathing quickened, her clear and lovely cheeks flushing like the rosy sky at sunset, becoming more radiant under the candlelight. As the older sister, why don't you teach Huan? Said Lu Chongqing, taking in the fragrance from Miaoge and whispering softly. Then, the scene fades to black. That year, Lu Chongqing was 28 years old, with 7 wives, 11 concubines, and 24 maids. Chapter 252, The Young Lady and Second Miss are pregnant. _1 The next morning, Lu Chongqing awoke. Looking at the 2 newlywed wives beside him, whose features were about 70 to 80% similar and whose sleeping faces were stunningly beautiful, the corners of his mouth lifted slightly. "This too is the motivation for my diligent cultivation," he said. "The heights are cold, and the path to immortality stretches endlessly. Cultivators are also human, with emotions and desires. If one were to practice cultivation by casting aside all emotions and desires, and enduring nothing but arduous cultivation, even if one were to reach the pinnacle of the immortal path and live a long and plentiful life, what joy would there be?" Lu Chongqing ruminated in his heart. At this moment, he experienced a feeling of enlightenment, a sense of spiritual satisfaction. It was as if his body and soul had both been sublimated. This was his Tao. The way of cultivation is manifold, different people follow different paths. As for him, his path was to traverse amid the chaos of the mundane world. He sought to satisfy his own desires and to cultivate an unobstructed mind and a relaxed spirit. Chongqing. At this moment, Lu Maiage's eyelashes quivered as she slowly awoke, opening her clear and bright eyes. Looking at Lu Chongqing, her face revealed a trace of happiness and shyness, mixed with a faint joy. "Huan is still asleep, let's sleep a bit longer," she said. Lu Chongqing, watching Lu Miaoge wake up, drew her enticingly fragrant and jade-like body into his arms. Bending his head slightly, he gazed at her fair, creamy neck, and spoke softly. Now married, Lu Miaoge no longer put on the airs of an elder sister as usual. She responded with a light and nestled into Lu Chongqing's embrace. Her beautiful eyes were half opened, her lips slowly parting with breaths that tugged at the heartstrings. "Huan is about to wake up, later we need to go see father," she said. The eldest mistress, noticing that Lu Chongqing's actions were becoming more intense, grabbed his hand, her hazy beautiful eyes looking towards her husband as she softly spoke. Even after the wedding night and becoming husband and wife, she tried to maintain the image of an elder sister in front of her younger sister. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing also stopped his movements. He knew the eldest mistress was shy. He had great respect for Lu Miaoge, or it could be said that this kind of thing was mutual. Immediately afterwards, Lu Miaoge got up, draped on a dignified and elegant white gossamer gown, and tidied up the clothing scattered beside the bed. Soon, Lu Miaohuan also awoke. Thinking of last night's scene, this second young mistress was even more shy than her sister Lu Miaoge. This was also because Lu Miaoge and Lu Chongqing had already had marital relations. By this time, Lu Miaoge had already finished dressing and applying makeup. Seeing that her younger sister had awakened, the gentle and graceful elder sister got the two of them out of bed, suggesting that they should go to serve tea and greet their father Lu Yuanding. Hearing this, the two of them did not delay. They immediately got dressed and went with Lu Miaoge to meet their father-in-law. After greeting their father-in-law and having breakfast, they returned home, and Lu Chongqing called over Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin, and the others to start unpacking wedding gifts. This wedding was so grand, officiated by the Lu family ancestor, that everyone from Qingzhou Mountain had brought gifts. However, most were just token gestures. It was only the gifts from a few of the Lu family elders that were somewhat more substantial. To Lu Chongqing's surprise, the gift from the Lu family ancestor was actually a dual cultivation secret technique. "Is the ancestor concerned about my multitude of wives and the depletion of my energy?" he wondered, somewhat astonished. Nonetheless, he could tell that in terms of value, this dual cultivation secret technique was the most valuable of all the wedding gifts. But he possessed the yin-yang harmony technique. Contained within were many dual cultivation techniques, and he had no regard for the dual cultivation secret technique in the gift. But a true master always keeps the heart of an apprentice. With a learning mindset, Lu Chongqing flipped through the illustrated manual of the dual cultivation technique. Lu Miaohuan boldly took a few glances. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing directly pulled the women together and they all began to study it with keen interest. After all, it was one thing to understand dual cultivation, but none could be as simple and direct as the teachings in these illustrated manuals. He could talk about how to dual cultivate, but his wives might just think he was deceiving them. Now, with the dual cultivation technique gifted by the ancestor, there could be no doubt. As night fell, Lu Chongqing first went to comfort Lu Miaoyun and Chu Xinjin, teaching the two women the dual cultivation technique and helping them with their cultivation. After all, one must not forget old love in the face of new. Late into the night, he then went to find Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan for cultivation. Now, naturally, the two women did not share one room and had separate chambers, which made Lu Chongqing feel a bit regretful. But he was not in a hurry. He knew such things needed to be approached gradually. It was better for them to be separate now, allowing both sisters to let go and relax. Otherwise, like last night, they would both hold back, and that would diminish the fun. Lu Chongqing first entered Lu Miaoge's room, where the eldest mistress was not asleep but meditating. She was still clad in a simple and elegant white gown, but with a bit more decoration than usual. Her black hair was tied up high, adorned with a green jade hairpin, and 2 earrings dangled from her delicate earlobes, adding a few touches of noble and refined charm to her transcendental beauty. Chongqing, seeing Lu Chongqing, Lu Miaoge opened her beautiful eyes and softly called out his name. Sister Miaoge, I finished reading the dual cultivation technique given by the ancestor today, and there are some parts one don't quite understand. I was hoping Sister Miaoge could enlighten me, Lu Chongqing said as he approached. Lu Miaoge blushed at his words. She wasn't foolish enough to believe what Lu Chongqing said. Not understanding cultivation. Clearly, it was just an excuse. Chongqing, matters between men and women should have limits. If one overindulges, it can impact cultivation and also harm the body. Lu Miaoge gently pursed her lips and advised tenderly, like a wise woman and a good wife. Previously, she didn't feel it was her place to advise Lu Chongqing too much, but now that she was married to him, she felt it was important to properly supervise Lu Chongqing's cultivation. Sister Miaoge, you know me, from today on, I will exercise restraint. But I really have come to seek guidance in cultivation, he replied. Chapter 253, The Young Lady and Second Miss are pregnant. Moreover, dual cultivation benefits both of us. Lu Chongqing naturally knew that Lu Miaoge wanted what was best for him. But he practiced the 100 refinements treasure body art, and his body was comparable to a middle-grade magic artifact. To say he was as tough as iron was not an exaggeration. Watching her husband's appearance, Lu Miaoge's beautiful eyes brimmed with affection. She heaved a helpless sigh, knowing she had to take persuasion slowly. Her pearly teeth nibbled lightly on her tender lips, leaving a faint white mark as she nodded gently. Immediately thereafter, accompanied by the rustling sound of shedding garments, the two began their dual cultivation. Sister Miaoge, how do you feel? Is my tiger step like what is described in the books? Lu Chongqing spoke out loud. Even though Lu Miaoge was good-natured and as gentle as water, upon hearing this, she turned her face away and did not respond, ignoring him. After all, how could she respond to something like this? To this, Lu Chongqing did not mind and continued the dual cultivation, talking to himself. His way of speaking was simply to tease Lu Miaoge. Just like the novel he read in his previous life, where Ling Xiaodong conquered Jingyun, there was a process of conquest from body to heart. Even after marrying her, there still needed to be this gradual and cyclical process. About half an hour later, sentiments surged, and the dual cultivation came to an end as they embraced each other tightly, clinging together. Chongqing, it's time to rest. Lu Miaoge's face was flushed, her beautiful eyes showing a hint of seductiveness as they opened and closed. She breathed quickly, holding onto Lu Chongqing's neck tightly, her breath sweet as she spoke. Sister Miaoge, I don't quite understand the techniques of blowing the jade flute and koi sucking water mentioned in the dual cultivation methods. Lu Chongqing, seeing the young mistress looking like this, gently caressed her sweaty, fair face and said. Even though Lu Miaoge hadn't taken a close look at the dual cultivation methods during the day, she vaguely understood the meanings upon hearing his words. Her eyelashes trembled, and her beautiful forehead dropped slightly, not speaking. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing just smiled and held Lu Miaoge quietly. He hadn't thought that with just a word, Lu Miaoge would obey him. It still required a process, after all. After resting with Lu Miaoge for a while, Lu Chongqing then hurried on to his next engagement. After all, having multiple wives and concubines came with its own troubles. There was another young mistress waiting for his comfort. When Lu Chongqing arrived at Lu Miaohuan's room, the light was already out. But Lu Chongqing could feel that the second young mistress had not yet gone to bed. He immediately knew that he had made this second young mistress wait too long and that she was in a bit of a mood. In the past, Lu Chongqing naturally wouldn't have indulged such a mood. But now that she was his wife, he found a little mood to be nothing serious, considering it a bit of flirtation. Entering the room, Lu Chongqing approached the bed and coaxed Lu Miaohuan, who was under the covers. The second young mistress now was all too easy to coax. It didn't take long before she was appeased. As he lifted the covers, he saw that Lu Miaohuan was still wearing a sparkling gown, as though flowing with stars. It was exactly the dress he had expressed during the day his desire to see her wear, the one from when they first met. Lu Miaohuan's graceful figure was perfectly displayed under this gown. Her fair and delicate skin seemed even more tender and soft like snow. Under the hem of the starry night-like gown, the contour of a pair of beautiful legs was visible yet hidden. With one glance, Lu Chongqing spotted that on these beautiful legs were wrapped a layer of thin, cicadwing-like black silk stockings. This made her legs appear even more slender and temptingly sensual. Hiss! This caused Lu Chongqing to inhale sharply, and he immediately seated himself on the bed, lifting the second young mistress into his embrace and resting her straight, tempting legs on his own thigh. He spoke warmly, "Huan Huan, it's all my fault for making you wait so long. Your feet are a bit cold, let me warm them for you," he said as he gently stroked them, suddenly grasping her round calf and slender ankle with genuine concern. Even through a layer of stockings, he could still distinctly feel the whiteness and delicacy of her skin. Lu Miaohuan heard his words and looked at Lu Chongqing with eyes that were both reproachful and delighted, giving him a look. She thought to herself that she hadn't guessed wrong after all. Lu Chongqing indeed had peculiar tastes. But at that moment, she did not feel disgusted. Instead, she felt a sense of pride, believing herself to be alluring. It was Lu Chongqing who had fallen for her first. In a flurry of sweet nothings from Lu Chongqing, it didn't take long for Lu Miaohuan to don a body-hugging gown aglow with starlight, her tall and graceful figure leaning against the windowsill. Her shapely, long legs, sheathed in black stockings, were perched atop a pair of stiletto heels that complemented her dress, with a nebulous starry design. The heels, slender and 3 to 4 inches tall, not only accentuated the perfect, alluring contours of the young mistress' legs but also added to her overall statuesque height. Under the soft glow of the moon, her dark and lustrous hair cascaded down her back, smooth and reaching the waist of her gown, resting above her shapely hips, making Lu Miaohuan's beauty breathtaking at that moment. Lu Chongqing stood behind her, embracing the undulating, alluring body of his wife, together admiring the moon. A moment later, Lu Miaohuan bit her lip, her delicate and stunning face flushing with a rosy glow. The blush stretched to her exquisite earlobes, along the length of her swan-like neck, and her cool and proud demeanor could no longer be maintained. In a voice as faint as a mosquito's, she said to Lu Chongqing behind her, You better not ruin my clothes. Huan Huan, when the time comes, I will buy you new ones. Lu Chongqing whispered softly. As noble and aloof as an iceberg, the second young mistress began to thaw and let herself be manipulated. Rip, following the sound of tearing cloth was a series of whimpers that were at once resentful and longing, plaintive and complaining. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan quickly integrated into the big Lu family. And just as Lu Chongqing had expected, seeing so many children in the courtyard, neither Lu Miaoge nor Lu Miaohuan had the heart not to have a few of their own. They both expressed a willingness to have children. But only one each. Lu Miao's reason was that she still needed to consider her cultivation. And she had to manage the affairs of the spiritual talisman shop. As for Lu Miaohuan, she was simply a bit scared of childbirth. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing naturally accommodated their wishes. And during this month, both Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan became pregnant. For Lu Chongqing, this was a source of immense joy. One reason was that for the wives and concubines he loved, he indeed held a partial fondness for their children. He couldn't manage to be entirely equitable. Additionally, both Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan had middle-grade spiritual roots. And he himself now had a 6th-grade spiritual root. Therefore, Lu Chongqing had some expectations for the children in the bellies of the two women. After Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan became pregnant, Lu Yuanding came to visit, bringing many nutritional supplements. They included both his personal gifts and those representing the Lu family. Even though Lu Chongqing wasn't exactly short on money now, he naturally accepted the heartfelt gifts. At the same time, Lu Yuanding also told Lu Chongqing to take charge of the 9 Dragons marketplace. With the family crisis resolved, all external businesses naturally needed to be quickly revived and operational. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing naturally agreed, but mentioned that he still had some matters to attend to in the mortal world. After all, it had been a year and a half since he had visited his wives and children in the mortal world, due to the series of events involving the Lu family. He also told Chu Xinjin about the true culprit behind the murder of her family and planned to take her to the mortal world to resolve the matter and pay respects to her parents. For this, Lu Chongqing truly felt he had not done enough. All these years, he had never taken Chu Xinjin home to pay tribute to her parents. Hearing this, Lu Yuanding didn't say much, only urging Lu Chongqing to make it quick. After all, they could hire someone to manage the shop. But due to the former hurried circumstances, the businesses had fallen behind. It was crucial to have one of their own take charge and swiftly restore operations. Immediately, Lu Chongqing, without delay, requested a flying boat from Lu Yuanding. Because this trip to the mortal world, he was not only taking Chu Xinjin with him, but he also planned to send some of the children to the mortal realm. Although he owned a flying boat, it was considered ill-gotten gains and might attract the attention of the Yu family. So, Lu Chongqing had no intention of using it publicly for the time being. For 300 family contribution points, Lu Yuanding approved a flying boat for Lu Chongqing. Immediately after, Lu Chongqing, accompanied by Chu Xinjin and 6 children old enough to travel, set off for the mortal realm. Chapter 254, A 10-Year Pact, Revenge_1 The sky is clear for thousands of miles, and the azure is spotless. A flying boat slowly descended from the sky and landed outside of Rui County City. Lu Chongqing took out a transmission talisman and sent messages to Hong Yi and Li Feiyu. About a quarter of an hour later, Hong Yi and Li Feiyu hurried out from the city. Brother Hong, Feiyu. Lu Chongqing greeted the two men. He then introduced Chu Xinjin and the children to Hong Yi. After a brief introduction and exchange of greetings, Lu Chongqing asked Chu Xinjin to take the children onto a carriage and head into the city. Chongqing, I heard from Brother Hong that the Lu family has destroyed Red Leaf Valley. At this moment, Li Feiyu turned to Lu Chongqing and inquired. He had been closely following the events concerning Qingzhou Mountain and Red Leaf Valley. By now, after so much time had passed, he had also gathered news about the Lu family and the Qin family. Learning that the Lu family had obliterated the Qin family of Red Leaf Valley came as a tremendous shock, and he had no clue what was going on. That's correct. Lu Chongqing nodded. He did not conceal the truth. He briefly recounted the matters between the Lu family and the Qin family. At the same time, he asked Li Feiyu about his future plans, whether he intended to stay in the secular world or return to Qingzhou Mountain. He could tell that Li Feiyu's cultivation level was still at the 4th level energy refinement. In the secular world, even with the minor spirit gathering array he had set up, cultivation was exceedingly difficult. It was completely incomparable to cultivating in a place with a spiritual vein like Qingzhou Mountain. No, the children are much older now, and my parents can take care of them. I plan to finish out the year and then go to the cultivation world to try my luck and see if there's an opportunity, said Li Feiyu. His determination to pursue cultivation had never wavered. He knew that with his current circumstances, if he didn't take a leap of faith now, let alone foundation establishment, he'd have no chance of reaching the energy refinement late stage in this lifetime. Red Leaf Valley has been destroyed, and the Liu family, Bai family, Yu family, and Jing family will establish a marketplace in Red Leaf Valley. Once the marketplace is completed, and everything comes to life, it will be a decent place to go, Lu Chongqing spoke up. From what he knew, the Red Leaf marketplace would be completed in 1 or 2 years. Once it was built, to attract loose cultivators and businesses to settle there, the 4 major families would offer various favorable policies. During this phase, for loose cultivators, it would be a good time. If Li Feiyu were to go to Red Leaf Marketplace, he could also look after him to some extent. After all, venturing out to explore ancient ruins and secret realms, in his view, was still too dangerous. It was almost a sure path to death. But he also knew that for ordinary loose cultivators like Li Feiyu, the only way to make progress in cultivation was to take this one path. Okay, I'll consider it when the time comes, responded Li Feiyu after hearing this. Red Leaf Valley is going to have a marketplace. Upon hearing this, Hong Yi too was somewhat surprised, seeing a business opportunity. Yes, Brother Hong, if you're interested, you can go and have a look when the time comes. If you want to purchase a shop, I can also help make introductions, Lu Chongqing said to Hong Yi. Now that his wives and children were settled in the secular world, and the Rui Marquis mansion was looking after them, he naturally wanted to return the favor. After the establishment of the Red Leaf Marketplace, the major families would release some of the shops and residences to be sold cheaply. If Hong Yi was interested, he could obtain a quota from the Liu family for him. Thank you, Brother Liu. I will discuss this matter with my father when I return home, expressed Hong Yi, his face lighting up with joy. He knew that the shops and dwellings available at the start of such a marketplace were not easy to get hold of. One needed to qualify. He didn't expect Lu Chongqing would actually offer to facilitate this for him. This made him inwardly marvel at Lu Changsheng's current status and position within the Liu family. He had never imagined that in just a short decade, the rural boy whom he had once overlooked would rise to such heights. He felt fortunate that his attitude had changed swiftly back then, and that he had established a good relationship with Lu Chongqing. Brother Liu, you asked me to investigate the mastermind behind the murder of your sister-in-law's family, and now they are being detained in the Marquis Mansion dungeon, said Hong Yi. Lu Chongqing looked at the carriage where Chu Zhenjin was present, and nodded. From a previous letter from Hong Yi, he had already learned the details of the matter. As he had suspected, the cultivator was a parasitic cultivator. Because he practiced an energy drain technique, he served as a household protector in a small family, relying on draining energy from women for cultivation, and directing people in the secular world to seek out girls with a spiritual root. Therefore, the incident involving Chu Zhenjin had unfolded. Bringing Chu Zhenjin with him on this trip was also to deal with this issue. All right, Brother Liu, you can get in touch with me when you're ready to come over. My father has also been wanting to meet you, Hong Yi added, nodding. Then, the three of them continued to chat casually, discussing recent events as well as matters related to the cultivation world. By the way, Brother Liu, do you stay in touch with Daoist Xiao, Daoist Zhao, and Daoist Han? Hong Yi asked at that moment. I have corresponded with Han Lin a few times, but I have had little contact with Daoist Xiao and Daoist Zhao, replied Lu Chongqing as he shook his head. After their 3-year agreement, although they made another 10-year pact, 10 years was ultimately too long. A slight friendship from back then might not stand the test of time. And Lu Chongqing wasn't someone who particularly enjoyed social interactions. So for many years, he had only corresponded a few times with Han Lin. He learned that the other party had become an artifact refiner, and found out that Wuxia was taken as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal. Afterward, Lu Chongqing wrote a congratulatory letter to Wuxia, who replied briefly. Then there was no further interaction. I, on the other hand, correspond frequently with the three of them. Hong Yi began to speak. His personality differed from Lu Changsheng's. Upon returning to the secular world, he maintained active communication with others. He also constantly endeavored to sustain this network connections. He then shared the recent situations of the three individuals. Chapter 255, A 10-Year Pact. Revenge. Wuxia was accepted as a disciple by a nascent soul immortal, had already broken through the energy refinement late stage, and had the prospects of reaching foundation establishment in the future. Zhao Qingqing, with her 6th grade spiritual root, became a pharmacist. But not long ago, through correspondence with Han Lin, he learned that Zhao Qingqing had awakened a latent spiritual body, the Veg body. This type of spiritual body does not enhance cultivation but is adept at nurturing spiritual medicine and performing healing. Therefore, Zhao Qingqing caught the eye of an elder who managed the medicinal garden at the outer sect and was taken in as a disciple. Han Daoist has become an artifact refiner, and now Lu Daoist is also a top-grade talisman master, leaving only me and Brotherly to waste our days in the mundane world. Hong Yi voiced his feelings. Back then, among the 6 of them, he was the one with the most privileged identity and background. Although he was doing fairly well now, when compared to Lu Chongqing and others, the difference became obvious. He was only a little better off than Li Feiyu. Sigh. Li Feiyu sighed softly beside him but did not speak. At the time of their 3-year agreement, he had already become the worst off among the 6. Now, more than 7 years later, he was still the worst off. And the gap with the others was growing wider and wider. This was also the reason he was thinking of venturing into the cultivation world to make a stand. Feiyu. Lu Chongqing, seeing his good brother like this, patted his shoulder. I'm fine, just feeling a bit emotional seeing you all doing so well, Li Feiyu said with a wry smile, shaking his head. Now, we only have 2.5 years left until the 10-year agreement we made back then. In a while, I'll write to ask Daoist Xiao and the others if they want to gather together, Hong Yi continued. I'm fine with it. Lu Chongqing nodded. He wanted to maintain these friendships if possible, but he didn't force it, preferring to let things take their natural course. After all, with the system by his side, he did not need Hong Yi's approach. Li Feiyu also nodded slightly. Although he did not entertain the idea of relying on others for help, he knew that maintaining these connections would be beneficial to himself. Just like now, his good relationships with Lu Chongqing and Hong Yi provided him with many conveniences in terms of cultivation resources and information. While the 3 of them were chatting leisurely, the carriage arrived at the entrance of the Lu residence. Lu Lanshu, Lu Zier, Lu Qing'er, and Xia Zhiyue, along with a group of children, were standing at the entrance of the residence. It was clear they knew about Lu Changsheng's arrival and were waiting at the entrance. Lu brother, I have other matters to attend to, so I won't disturb your family reunion, Hong Yi said as he got up to take his leave seeing the situation. All right, see you tomorrow, Lu Chongqing nodded and then turned to look at his wives and children. Husband, father, Jinjin, Auntie Chu. The wives and children, seeing Lu Chongqing, immediately showed the joy of a long-awaited reunion. Lu Wuyo and Lu Shila even rushed over to embrace Lu Chongqing. Ha ha ha, did you miss Daddy? Seeing this, Lu Chongqing held the children and ruffled their heads, a smile also spreading across his face. We missed you. After not seeing them for over a year, the children had all grown taller. From their stature and movements, it was evident that they had a solid foundation in martial arts. Such minor improvements in martial arts also boosted Lu Changsheng's ability. However, this boost was too insignificant. For Lu Chongqing, who was cultivating the 100 refinements treasure body art, it was almost negligible. Lan Shu, it has been hard on you all these days, Lu Chongqing said to his wives. "Husband, it wasn't hard," the women shook their heads, their eyes filled with tenderness. Let's go inside." Lu Chongqing didn't linger to catch up at the entrance. He patted his eldest son, Lu Pingan, who had nearly grown as tall as his chest, and went inside with his wives and children. Now, the Lu residence had changed considerably from 1.5 years ago. The house now employed many protectors, martial masters, servants, and maids. Following Lu Lanchu's instructions, upon seeing Lu Chongqing, the head of the household, they all respectfully paid their respects, calling out, "Old master, family head." Hee, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but chuckle softly. He was still getting used to this title, but in the mundane world, after establishing a family, being called old master was also normal. And being 28 years old, he was indeed not young anymore. After settling the children, Lu Chongqing spent time with his wives and children, joyfully having a reunion meal. That night. "Lanshu, Zir, Qing'er, do you want to go back to Qingzhou Mountain for a visit?" Lu Chongqing asked, embracing his wives. Sending his wives to the mundane world partly for the children's care, and partly as preparation for escape. Now that the situation of the Lu family had stabilized, if the 3 women wished to return to Qingzhou Mountain, he could take them back to live there on this trip. "Husband, well, just stay here with the children," all 3 women shook their heads. They did not necessarily want to leave Qingzhou Mountain, but they understood that with Lu Changsheng's busy affairs, rather than going back to Qingzhou Mountain, it was better to stay here. Moreover, they also knew that Lu Chongqing wouldn't bring the children back with them and didn't want to be away from the children. "All right, I'll come back often whenever I have time," Lu Chongqing said warmly. He still had quite a bit of affection for his first 3 wives, and, following his words, he expressed his love through his actions. The next day. "Zhinzhin, why don't you stay at home, and I'll go alone," Lu Chongqing said to Chu Zhinzhin. Although this trip was meant to bring Chu Zhinzhin along for revenge, she had never dared to kill even a chicken, let alone take a life for revenge. Moreover, he could see that over the years, Chu Zhinzhin had been forgetting and shedding the hatred in her heart. If she were to see her enemy, it might bring back painful memories. "Husband," Chu Zhinzhin looked at Lu Chongqing, pursed her lips, and her eyes were determined, clearly wanting to go. "Then let's go." Seeing this, Lu Chongqing held her hand and did not say much else. Chapter 256, A 10-Year Pact, Revenge. Accompanied by Chu Zhinzhin, he arrived at the Rui royal mansion. Upon learning of Lu Changsheng's arrival, the doorkeeper immediately went to report it. Not only Hong Yi came out to greet them. Hong Yi's father, the Marquis of Rui, also personally came out to greet them. This Rui Marquis appeared to be in his 50s. However, through Hong Yi, Lu Chongqing knew that this Rui Marquis was actually over 70 and had more than 40 children. 7th level energy refinement. Lu Chongqing recognized the cultivation level of the Rui Marquis at a glance. Such cultivation strength was considered to be that of a master in the secular world. Spirit gathering array, a minor spiritual land. After entering the inner courtyard of the mansion, Lu Chongqing immediately sensed that there was a spirit vein beneath it. Similar to the one in Bullhead Mountain, it belonged to the less influential spirit veins. But in the secular world, even a minor spirit vein like this was rather impressive. After a brief conversation with the Rui Marquis, Lu Chongqing followed Hong Yi to a subterranean palace. Young Master Yi. At the entrance of the subterranean palace, 2 innate masters stood guard and greeted Hong Yi with a bow. "Open the door," Hong Yi commanded outright. Upon entering the subterranean palace and walking through a tunnel, it was clear that this was a prison. The air was filled with a damp, musty smell, and many people were confined. Any martial arts experts or cultivators who cause trouble in Rui Prefecture are dealt with by the Rui Marquis Mansion and imprisoned here. Gong Sun Hong is detained in the depths, Hong Yi explained to Lu Chongqing. Gong Sun Hong was the cultivator behind the scenes who had killed Chu Zhenjin's entire family. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, holding Chu Zenshin's hand as they followed Hong Yi deeper into the dungeon. Many cells on both sides were empty, some containing prisoners. Tight bindings in a cross shape, iron chains piercing through the arm bones, tendons in the hands and feet severed, and fetters and chains wrapped around the wrists and ankles indicated that the inmates who were detained here were generally formidable. They were either cultivators or at least innate masters. Hearing footsteps, many prisoners opened their eyes. Seeing Hong Yi, their eyes turned blood-red as if looking at the murderer of their fathers. They struggled vehemently, gnashing their teeth and howling in anger. Seeing such a scene, Chu Zhenjin felt frightened and hugged Lu Changsheng's arm tightly. Although she was a cultivator at the third-level energy refinement, her timid nature hadn't changed much. "It's okay," Lu Changsheng said to his petite wife while gently comforting her. Not to mention Chu Zhenjin, even he felt somewhat uncomfortable with the scene before him. After all, the most tragic scene he had witnessed was the killings in Red Leaf Valley. But that was not as revolting as what he saw now. "Brother Lu, sister-in-law, this person here is Gong Sun Hong." Hong Yi stopped and pointed at a door to a cell, announcing. Inside sat a man in his 60s, with gray hair, a pale face, purple lips, and appeared to be at death's door. He was in a tight binding, iron chains piercing through the arm bones, tendons in the hands and feet severed, and fetters and chains wrapped around the wrists and ankles. Gong Sun Hong, Chu Zhenjin recognized that this was the very cultivator who had orchestrated the murder of her family. Hatred and anger surged in her heart. But at the same time, the thought that her parents died because of her brought a wave of sadness. "Zhenjin, let me do it," Lu Changxing sighed softly upon seeing his wife in such a state. He knew Chu Zenshin's personality well. He had anticipated that even with the murderer before her, Chu Zenshin's heart would only be filled with sadness and confusion. She would hardly experience the sensations of anger and hatred, the satisfaction of revenge. One reason was her personality. The other was that over the years, much of her hatred had been buried. Chu Zenshin's eyes turned slightly red as she nodded. She had felt unwell ever since entering the dungeon. Even feeling nauseous. At this moment, asking her to take action to relieve her hatred by killing someone was really beyond her. Swish! Lu Changxing snapped his fingers. A streak of white sword light burst forth, ending Gong Sun Hong's life and severing his head. When he had saved Chu Zhenjin, he was still worried that the cultivator behind the scenes might come after them. But now, over 7 years later, killing the enemy was as easy as slaughtering a chicken. "Whoa, my husband," Chu Zhenjin trembled upon seeing Gong Sun Hong's death, tears streaming down her eyes as she held Lu Changxing tightly. Although she felt some relief from revenge, there was more emptiness and sadness in her heart. Knowing that her parents and family could never return. Sigh, Lu Changxing hugged his wife, stroking her hair and comforting Chu Zhenjin. If it weren't for giving his wife closure, and since she had insisted on coming, he would not have wanted to bring Chu Zhenjin to such a place. After the vengeance was done, Lu Changxing did not stay long. Picking up Gong Sun Hong's head, he bid farewell to Hong Yi and left. Carrying Chu Zhenjin, they rode on the Iron Feather Eagle toward Dongyang Prefecture, to Zhoushan Mansion. 1 day later. The couple arrived at Zhoushan Mansion. Father, mother, woo-woo, looking at the desolate, weed-infested courtyard, Chu Zhenjin finally could not hold back her tears and cried bitterly. Seeing this scene, Lu Changxing sighed softly. He consoled his fragile wife and erected a tombstone for her deceased parents. He then hired people to renovate the dilapidated mansion, arranging for someone to guard the place long-term. This was so that Chu Zhenjin wouldn't have to be so sad and distressed when she came to pay her respects in the future. He also thought that, should her elder brother who had taken up the demon path return, he would see that his sister was still alive and well taken care of. Chapter 257, Giving Birth to a Spiritual Body, Double Lottery Draw _1 After paying respects to his parents with Chu Zhenjin, Lu Changxing returned to Rui County City. He stayed in Rui County City for 3 days, accompanying his wives and children, before leaving with Xia Zizhu and Chu Jinjin. He did not return to Qingzhou Mountain. Instead, he went directly to Nine Dragons Market. One reason was to avoid making an extra trip. Additionally, he would have use for this flying boat later on. He needed to send several maids and children from the marketplace into the mundane world. 5 days later, the flying boat descended outside Nine Dragons Market. After securing temporary identity plaques for the two women, Lu Chongqing entered the marketplace. Back when he left Qingzhou Mountain, 7 of the 9 pregnant women had already given birth. The remaining 2 would also give birth in a couple of months. Now I already have 18 children with a spiritual root, but I don't know if these 2 children will have spiritual roots. Lu Chongqing felt somewhat expectant in his heart. Both maids were purchased from White Jade Tower and possessed 9th grade spiritual roots. Therefore, there was a not-so-small chance that the children in their wombs would have spiritual roots. However, it was very unlikely for both to possess spiritual roots. Lu Chongqing did not pay too much attention to it. After settling Chu Jinjin and Xia Zizhu, Lu Chongqing took Xia Zizhu to the neighboring courtyard. That was the courtyard where Xia Long once lived. He wanted his daughter to see her father's former residence. Looking at the deserted courtyard covered in dust, and thinking of her deceased father, Xia Zizhu felt profound grief and her eyes reddened. Usually unable to bear such scenes, Lu Chongqing sighed as well. He could only comfort her as much as possible. He let her cry out for her father all night, filling the void in her spirit. The next day, Lu Chongqing went to the Lu family compound in the Eastern District. He met the already present second elder, and took back control of the spiritual talisman shop. In the half-year he had been gone, without the supply of supreme talismans from the fourth elder and a decrease in superior talismans, the shop's business inevitably suffered. Faced with this situation, the Lu family's approach was straightforward. Hold promotions and provide more superior and supreme talismans, allowing the business to begin to recover. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed. In these 3 months, only Xiao Huang, who had been left behind, was pregnant. It wasn't that Lu Chongqing didn't want to have more children. The maids with spiritual roots had just given birth not long ago and needed to recuperate. Xia Zizhu's cultivation had just broken through to the 3rd level of qi refinement. Lu Chongqing planned to wait until she reached the 4th level of qi refinement and the middle stage before considering having children again. As for ordinary maids like Bai He and Hai Tang who lacked spiritual roots, now that he had so many wives and maids, Lu Chongqing planned not to have any more children with them. After all, he believed in quality over quantity. I've been out for over 3 months now, it's time to go back. In the spiritual talisman shop, after completing his meditation and cultivation, Lu Chongqing opened his eyes and exhaled lightly. He prepared to return to Qingzhou Mountain and see his wives and children. He did not go directly back to Qingzhou Mountain. Instead, he steered the flying boat, taking Chu Jinjin and sending maids like Bai He and Hai Tang as well as a group of children to the secular world. As for Xia Zizhu, he temporarily settled her in Nine Dragons Market. One reason was that Nine Dragons Market needed someone to look after it. Additionally, having just married Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan not long ago, it seemed somewhat improper to bring someone back from outside the house so soon. After settling the maids and children into the mundane world and staying for 2 days, Lu Chongqing took Chu Jinjin back to Qingzhou Mountain. Upon returning to Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Chongqing gave the spirit boat back. He stayed at home for 3 days, accompanying his wives and children. The yin-yang harmony technique's 5 aggregates proliferation method also came into play at this moment. However, the 5 aggregates proliferation method was not a sure hit. It merely increased the odds. Lu Chongqing didn't know how effective it had been over these 3 days. 3 days later, amidst the reluctance of his wives, Lu Chongqing rode the Iron Feather Eagle, taking Jiang Luyue back to Nine Dragons Market. Qingyun Sect. Kaiyun Peak, Mingyue residence. Xiao Xie was dressed in a long, white gown, with a cool and ethereal demeanor, resembling a fairy from the Moon Palace. Clouds are heartless, the moon is heartless. She looked at the supreme forgetful love technique she was cultivating. She had completely understood the methods in the technique and even cultivated it to the 9th level of qi refinement. But when it came to the states of mind and the artistic conception of the technique, she could never grasp the essentials and failed to comprehend them. After pondering for a long while, Xiao Xie let out a soft sigh, took the cultivation technique, and went to the highest palace at the top of Kaiyun Peak. Upon reaching the palace, she saw a tall, slender, and breathtakingly beautiful figure in colorful garments standing in a daze at the railing, gazing into the distance. From the side, one could discern her magnificent curves under the loose colorful garments, resembling a valley among rolling hills. Her long, silky, jet-black hair hung down to her waist, almost covering her mature and full curves. "Master!" Xiao Xie called out respectfully. She couldn't remember when it started, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Her master began to enjoy standing alone, gazing into the distance. "Shiyu, you've come. Is there something you need?" Yun Wanshang turned her head to look at her, her stunning face revealing a gentle smile. "Master, I've disappointed you." "I'm still unable to grasp the state of mind of the supreme forgetful love technique." Xiao Xie held out the technique in her hand and spoke softly. Sigh. Yun Wanshang looked at her disciple who once was lively and clever, now cool and indifferent due to the supreme forgetful love technique, her beautiful eyes tranquilly impassive, and her demeanor pure and saintly, and she let out a slight sigh. Shiyu, the first layer state of mind of the supreme forgetful love technique is clouds are heartless, the moon is heartless. What's your understanding of it? Yun Wanshang asked. Both the clouds and the moon are in the sky, yet the moon is thousands of miles away from the clouds, with no interrelation between the two. Naturally, the clouds are heartless, and so is the moon. Xiao Xie replied, explaining her understanding. Chapter 258, a month later. Qingyun sect. On the misty white jade square filled with celestial aura, hundreds of young men and women left with heavy hearts and low spirits. Yunlu, Xingyue, remember to cultivate diligently within Qingyun sect and feel free to send a message home if anything comes up. You can also seek help from your uncles Han and Zhao, and your auntie Zhao. Lu Chongqing spoke to his children before him. Today marked the once every 5 years Immortal sects exam of Qingyun sect. Since Hong Yi had sent his son, Hong Xuanji, to participate in the Immortal sects exam at Qingyun sect, Lu Chongqing thought it over and decided to have several of his children take the exam as well. After all, cultivating at an Immortal sect and learning skills in many aspects was indeed better than at home. Moreover, Qingyun sect wasn't far from home. Sending the children there meant they would not only receive the family's training but also that of the sect. However, only those under 18 could participate in the Qingyun sect exam, so naturally, Lu Pingan, Lu Yun, and Lu Chuanjun couldn't take part. Hence, out of the 8 children he chose to send for the Immortal sect's discipleship exam, only his son Lu Yunlu and daughter Lu Xingyue, both with 6th grade spiritual roots, passed the assessment. The other 6 children, along with Hong Xuanji, failed to make it through the exam. Through connections, Lu Chongqing also had a rough understanding of Qingyun sect's criteria for accepting disciples. Spiritual root, perseverance, comprehension, Tao heart. The assessment was based on these 4 areas. But there was another unspoken criterion, age. Like Hong Xuanji with a 7th grade spiritual root, performed well in all 3 aspects of the exam but was disqualified because he was 18 years old. Brother-in-law, rest assured, I will take good care of Yunlu and Xingyue, said a good-looking young man in his late 20s, standing tall and wearing the Qingyun sect disciple's magical robe, next to him. It was Xia Zishu's brother, Xia Zhaoyang. With a 4th grade spiritual root, he was doing quite well in Qingyun sect, with a cultivation level of 8th level energy refinement, and he had hopes to reach foundation establishment in the future. Alright, in that case, I'm counting on you to look after Yunlu and Xingyue, Lu Chongqing said to his brother-in-law with a nod and a smile. He hadn't interacted much with Xia Zhaoyang, only conversing a few times. However, his impression of the man was decent, not one of heartlessness or unfaithfulness. After giving his instructions, Lu Chongqing walked down from the White Jade Square, leaving with the 6 children who had been eliminated and Hong Xuanji. Xingyue, Yunlu, although you've passed the exam, you are only outer disciples. Besides cultivation, you need to choose a skill to learn. Which skill do you plan to study? Xia Zhaoyang asked, turning to the 2 nieces and nephews. However, the look he gave Lu Xingyue was noticeably more affectionate. He had been cared for by his sister Xia Zizhu since he was a child. Over the years at Qingyun sect, Xia Zizhu often sent him a portion of her own cultivation resources and accumulated spirit stones. Thus, he always kept this familial love in his heart. Father said I can choose medicine, Lu Xingyue replied crisply. Although she had met this uncle several times, she still wasn't very familiar with him, and her voice held a hint of estrangement. Father told me to choose artifact refining, Lu Yunlu said. Good, he'll take you there, Xia Zhaoyang said, nodding his head and leading them away. Even though Qingyun sect had uniform arrangements as a disciple of Qingyun sect, he knew some of the ins and outs. For instance, if the sect knew someone had a family member there, they were typically escorted by that member, which meant the outer disciples in charge might show a little more care and attention. At the entrance of Qingyun sect, many young men and women who failed to pass the exam left with sorrowful and disappointed expressions, some even crying out loud. Under such circumstances, Lu Changsheng's other 6 children were also downcast, pressing their lips tightly together. Seeing this scene, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but reminisce about his own feelings upon learning that he had been rejected by Qingyun sect 25 years ago. He patted his children's heads and said with an air of calm, "It's all right if you didn't pass, I wanted you to gain some experience by bringing you here." Xuanji, you shouldn't take it too hard either. Lu Chongqing didn't feel too strongly about the children's failure to pass because he had anticipated it, and he also maintained an indifferent attitude about it. They walked out of the mountain gate where Hong Yi was eagerly waiting outside. His face immediately fell upon seeing Lu Chongqing and his son exiting. He had high hopes for his son, Hong Xuanji, wanting him to join an immortal sect and surpass himself. But now, seeing his son walk out of the gate, he knew the boy hadn't passed the exam. Brother Lu, Xuanji, Hong Yi greeted Lu Chongqing with a hand-over-fist salute. Xuanji did well in several areas of the exam, but he was disqualified because he's a little too old, Lu Chongqing explained to Hong Yi. Father, I have let you down, your next read awaits at my virtual library Empire, Hong Xuanji said, slightly bowing his head to his father. He knew how much his father wished for him to be accepted into Qingyun sect. Ah, it's okay, Hong Yi sighed deeply, patted his son's shoulder, and didn't say much more. Many others, like Hong Yi, showed sadness and disappointment when they saw their children or younger family members walking out of the gate. Most of them, being loose cultivators, understood the hardship of such a path and wished for their offspring to be admitted into an immortal sect. Brother Hong, Xuanji is quite talented and intelligent, and he will not fare poorly in the future even if he hasn't joined an immortal sect. We ourselves were once rejected by Qingyun sect as well, weren't we? Lu Chongqing said to comfort him. If Xuanji's future turns out a bit like mine, that would be decent, but it's audacious to compare him with you, Brother Lu, Hong Yi said, with a bitter smile on his face. Then, turning to Lu Chongqing, he said with a hand-over-fist salute, Brother Lu, I have an audacious request. Haha, Brother Hong, just speak freely, Sarch *the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Chongqing laughed lightly and replied, guessing somewhat what Hong Yi was about to ask. I was hoping, Brother Lu, that you could let Xuanji continue to work at by Lake Mountain. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 259. This day marked the annual family clan meeting of the Liu family. This year, the Liu family was still in a state of loss. However, compared to the previous year, the situation had relatively improved a lot. Faced with this situation, Liu Chongqing didn't say much. He simply stated that they should keep up the effort, and if there were any children in the family who had ideas about marriage, taking a wife, or concubinage, they could bring it up actively and let the clan arrange it. After all, on Bai Lake Mountain side, only his son Liu Xianji was married, which truly worried him as an elderly father. Chongqing, the internal organ issues of your uncle have improved quite a lot under my treatment with Tai True Water. If you have some free time, you could try to help your great-uncle remove the corpse poison. After the family clan meeting concluded, Lu Miaoge said softly to Liu Chongqing. Previously, Liu Chongqing had said that once she had managed Lu Yuanzhong's internal organ issues more or less, he could attempt to use sword qi to drive out the poison. Alright, he'll go with you in a few days. Upon hearing this, Liu Chongqing held Lu Miaoge's hand and spoke warmly. The three of them returned to Chongqing Hall, where Lu Miaoge typically used Tai True Water to nourish and heal Ling Zixio's meridians and Dantian. Looking at the beautiful and gentle Lu Miaoge in front of him, Liu Chongqing felt he needed to refine the foundation establishment elixir as soon as possible. Over 2 years had passed, with Lu Miaoge constantly running back and forth between Qingzhou Mountain and Bai Lake Mountain. Normally, she would also need to oversee the Red Leaf Valley Market, which kept her extraordinarily busy. Now that he had gathered almost all the auxiliary materials for the foundation establishment elixir, only 2 more medicinal ingredients were left. Thinking of refining the foundation establishment elixir as soon as possible and giving one to the Liu family of Qingzhou Mountain, just as long as there was someone from Qingzhou Mountain who made a breakthrough and a new foundation building great cultivator was born, Lu Miaoge wouldn't have to be so busy, and she could cultivate peacefully on Bai Lake Mountain with the effect of the Tai Dao seed. Lu Miaoge's cultivation speed was not at all inferior to those with high-grade spiritual roots. Yet because she was busy and constantly healing Lu Yuanzhong and Ling Zixiao, her own cultivation had been delayed. 3 days later. After informing Xiao Xie and Ling Zixiao, Liu Chongqing went with Lu Miaoge to Qingzhou Mountain to help Lu Yuanzhong eliminate the corpse poison. Considering that Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan had also not returned for quite a long time, he took both women with him, as well as his son Lu Yun, Lu Qingsong, and others to go together. Chongqing, Miaoge, you've come. Learning of Liu Changsheng's arrival, people like Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding came out to welcome them. Father-in-law, uncle, Liu Chongqing greeted the newcomers cheerfully. After a simple catch-up, Liu Chongqing checked Lu Yuanzhong's condition. Under Lu Miaoge's application of Tai True Water, Lu Yuanzhong's organs, which had been corrupted by the corpse poison, regained vitality. But the issue of the corpse poison in the organs still hadn't been resolved, clinging to the organs like a persistent illness. Ancestor, although I am somewhat confident in driving out the poison, now that the corpse poison has integrated with your organs, it might be hard to completely eradicate it. If the detox goes too deep, it could also harm your organs, Liu Chongqing said after pondering for a moment. Chongqing, just do as you see fit, Lu Yuanzhong said. With the strength and methods Liu Chongqing had shown and the changes in Lu Miaoge, he had utmost faith in Liu Chongqing. Continue your journey at my virtual library empire. Alright, Liu Chongqing nodded, asking Lu Yuanzhong to lie down. He placed his palm on the man's chest and began to drive out the corpse poison with the 7 luminary sword qi. Such a domineering and fierce sword qi. Lu Yuanzhong's expression shifted slightly, revealing a look of shock in his eyes. Through the 7 luminary sword qi, he instantly felt that Liu Changsheng's mana was overwhelmingly powerful and domineering, even more so than Lu Miaoge's mana. He marveled internally at what cultivation technique Liu Chongqing practiced to possess such tyrannical mana and sword qi. Had it not been for this treatment, he truly wouldn't have known the extent of Liu Changsheng's combat power, thinking that Liu Changsheng's true skills lay in talismans. Now, it seemed, Lu Chongqing hadn't fully wielded his power against the three Foundation establishment cultivators from the Yu family back then. Sister Miaoge, use Tai True Water to protect Uncle's meridians. Lu Chongqing carefully removed some of the residual corpse poison from Lu Yuanhong's organs with the 7 luminaries sword qi, but the corpse poison had lingered for years, like a disease in the bone, quite troublesome to handle. If the sword qi was too fierce, it could easily harm Lu Yuanzhong. Search * the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Alright. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge immediately circulated her mana, her palms radiating blue halos, enveloping Lu Yuanhong's organs with condensed Tai True Water. In this manner, the two of them worked together to drive the poison out of Lu Yuanzhong. Yet Lu Yuanhong's condition was indeed troublesome. Even Lu Chongqing dared only to remove some surface remnants of the corpse poison, unable to thoroughly cleanse the deep-seated poison. Uncle, you should focus on recuperating for a few days. When the situation improves a bit more, I will try to drive the poison out further. An hour later, Lu Chongqing withdrew his hand, exhaling deeply, and spoke to Lu Yuanzhong. His 7 luminaries sword qi detox, while effective, was somewhat akin to a painful remedy, with a risk of damaging the organs. Chongqing, Miaoge, thank you for your hard work, Lu Yuanzhong said solemnly. After the battle at Blackwater Pool, he thought his life wouldn't last much longer, but now, the Lu family not only gained Lu Miaoge, a Foundation establishment great cultivator, but together, they were also able to address his corpse poison. In his view, even if they could not fully eradicate it, living a few more decades was worth it. Uncle, you're being too polite, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. He and Lu Miaoge decided to stay at Qingzhou Mountain temporarily, doing their best to address Lu Yuanhong's condition. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 260, Giving Birth to a Spiritual Body, Double Lottery Draw, Shiyu, clouds embrace the light of Yuer, casting the shadow of a colorful cloud upon the ground. To those on earth, it appears the moon rests among the clouds as they wrap around each other, coexisting in reliance. Therefore, to achieve the essence of the supreme forgetful love technique, one must aspire to become heartless and forget emotion, yet one must first face the emotional trials, joy, sorrow, separation, and reunion, to gain a profound enlightenment and a deep understanding of the mysteries of forgetting emotion. Previously, your teacher had asked Elder Yun to refine the red dust elixir, hoping that with its aid, you would comprehend the chaos of mortal life and could skip this step. But now it seems that, in the end, you must rely on yourself. Yun Wansheng uttered these words. Although she had not practiced the supreme forgetful love technique herself, as a nascent soul immortal, her vision was naturally exceptional. She knew the profound mysteries of the supreme forgetful love technique. To face the emotional trials. Xiao Xia naturally knew what it meant to face emotional trials. It meant experiencing worldly love, joy, sorrow, separation, and reunion. However, as she practiced the supreme forgetful love technique, she could feel herself becoming more and more indifferent. Rarely moved by emotions or disturbed by feelings. Under such circumstances, to experience joy, sorrow, separation, and reunion was extremely difficult. As for love. Having practiced the supreme forgetful love technique, Xiao Xia no longer knew what love was. Shiyu, if you cannot succeed, then you need not continue practicing the supreme forgetful love technique. To indulge in such a cultivation technique without success may lead you astray into a demonic path, wasting your potential. With your talent and aptitude, even without practicing the supreme forgetful love technique, you can still build a flawless Tao foundation. Yun Wansheng spoke, saying so. She had been hesitant at first to allow Xiao Xia to practice the supreme forgetful love technique. But 5 years ago, after undergoing an emotional trial herself, her mindset and thoughts also changed. She gradually realized that emotional trials were not so easily overcome. One lapse could ensnare one completely. After being silent for a long while, Wuxia softly said, "Master, I wish to try again. I will give you 3 more years. If you do not succeed within this time, you will give up the supreme forgetful love technique," said Yun Wanshang to her disciple. "You shall heed Master's words." In Wuxia's cool eyes, a gentle and lively smile appeared. Half a year later. Qingzhou Valley. Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoyun supported Lu Miaoge outside the birthing room. Lu Yuanding was also nearby. The family head paced back and forth. He clenched and unclenched his fists, his expression extremely tense. The reason was simple. Lu Miaohuan was about to give birth. Father-in-law, with Miaohuan's 6th level energy refinement cultivation level, there should be no problems, Lu Chongqing consoled, seeing the family head for the first time with such an expression. Lu Yuanding nodded. But he still focused on the birthing room, filled with anxiety. Seeing this, Lu Chongqing didn't know what else to say. Saying too much would seem as if he, as a husband and soon-to-be father, did not care for his wife and child. Suddenly, "Wah!" a loud cry of an infant burst forth from the room. It caused everyone outside to shudder and their faces to beam with joy. At that moment, Lu Chongqing felt a strong surge within him, an indescribable sensation. Simultaneously, 2 system notifications sounded in his mind. Congratulations to the host for fathering 20 children with spiritual roots, you have earned 1 chance to draw a lottery. Congratulations to the host for the first birth of a child with a spiritual body, you have earned 1 chance to draw a lottery. What, a spiritual body? Hearing the notifications, Lu Changsheng's heart was overwhelmed, and he was ecstatic. He hadn't expected the child born of Lu Miaohuan to not only have a spiritual root but also a spiritual body. A spiritual body was 1 in 10,000. At the current stage, he had never even dreamed that any of his children might possess a spiritual body. Having a spiritual root was already more than enough for him. But unexpectedly, the surprise was so unforeseen. The 90th child was the first to be born with a spiritual body. Seeing Lu Changsheng's excited and ecstatic demeanor, Lu Yuanding nodded approvingly, thinking Lu Chongqing wasn't so bad after all. In seeing such joy and excitement on the face of his son-in-law while his daughter gave birth, it showed he cherished and adored Lu Miaohuan. It's born, Chongqing, quick, go in and take a look," urged Lu Yuanding to Lu Chongqing. Without checking the system for his child's spiritual root and spiritual body details, Lu Chongqing immediately pushed open the door and entered. "Congratulations, son-in-law, it's a young master," the midwife said to Lu Chongqing, beaming with happiness. Good, Lu Chongqing nodded happily, handing out 2 spirit stones as a token of celebration, and then he approached the bed. Looking at Lu Miaohuan, who was a bit weak from holding the child, he took her hand and said, "Huan, you've worked hard." Lu Chongqing, "It hurt a lot," Lu Miaohuan said with a look of grievance as soon as she saw Lu Chongqing. "It's my fault, letting you suffer," Lu Chongqing immediately soothed. Then he looked at the child and said, "This is our child, so adorable. Ordinary children are all wrinkled at birth." But Lu Chongqing knew that children born to cultivators were different, with skin smooth and radiant, never wrinkled. Such children, even without a spiritual root, would be martial prodigies if they practiced martial arts in the future. "He, so tiny," Lu Miaohuan said, smiling happily as she teased their little one in her arms. The baby didn't cry but peered around with round, curious eyes, gazing at the world. "Let's go see father-in-law," suggested Lu Chongqing. Not wanting to keep Lu Yuanding waiting outside any longer, the couple carried the child and stepped out of the room. "Oh, my dear grandchild, let me have a look," Lu Yuanding, who had been waiting impatiently outside, was thrilled to see Lu Changxing and Lu Miaohuan with the baby and eagerly moved closer to hold the child, his eyes crinkling with a smile. Chapter 261, Giving Birth to a Spiritual Body, Double Lottery Draw. He bore none of the composure that the patriarch of the Lu family usually displayed. He reached out to touch and pinch the baby's small face, causing the infant to cry out with a wah. Ha ha ha, Yu Shu, Huaner's child is born. Your grandson is born, did you hear that? Lu Yuanding, however, started laughing, his eyes moistening as he did. Hearing this, everyone knew that Lu Yuanding was missing his wife, the mother of Lu Miaohuan and Lu Miaoga. Oh, there, don't cry, don't cry. Lu Yuanding began to soothe the child again. Changxing, let's name the child Qing Shan. Lu Yuanding said aloud. He had previously mentioned the naming of the child. Thinking of the names for the children of Lu Miaoga and Lu Miaohuan. A boy would be named Qing Shan and a girl, Qing Zhu. As father-in-law wishes. Lu Changxing nodded. He had been through so many names already. He wasn't particularly concerned about naming, feeling that it was all the same regardless of who chose it. He also knew that the name Lu Yuanding had chosen carried the meaning of Qingzhou Mountain. In this manner, with everyone making merry and soothing the baby, Lu Changxing finally found some free time after dinner. System. Lu Changxing entered the study and silently called out in his mind. Name, Lu Changxing, identity, son-in-law of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain, cultivation level, 8th level energy refinement, lifespan, 29/155, talents, 6th grade spiritual root, Gingjin body constitution, medium grade spiritual body, cultivation techniques, 100 refinements treasure body art, 7 luminaries great freedom sword scripture, yin-yang harmony technique, immortal beauty technique, spells, 7 luminaries sword beam, 7 luminaries sword shield, 7 luminary sword flight, items, golden light brick talisman treasure, black dragon magical bead, book of malevolent curses and fates, life substituting talisman, profound origin bead, 2nd rank puppet, skills, talisman making, 2nd rank, puppetry, 2nd rank, spiritual pets, 9 netherhound, peach blossom goo, descendants, 9097s, Gingjin body constitution. Is this my child's spiritual body? Lu Changxing saw that an additional Gingjin body constitution was listed under his own talents. Immediately, he knew this was his son, Lu Qingshan's spiritual body. He instantly looked toward the descendant section, his spirit stirring slightly. Name, Lu Qingshan, lifespan, 184th, talents, 6th grade spiritual root, Gingjin body constitution, medium grade spiritual body, cultivation level, none, as expected. Lu Changxing saw the panel for his son and inwardly said as expected. Not only did he possess a 6th grade spiritual root, but also the Gingjin body constitution. The Gingjin body constitution is one of the more common types among the 5 elements spiritual body. I wonder which attribute my son's spiritual root leans towards. If the spiritual root also leans toward the metal attribute, even with a 6th grade spiritual root, as long as he cultivates metal attribute cultivation techniques, his cultivation speed will not be any weaker than those with higher grade spiritual roots. Lu Changxing felt a surge of excitement and joy. Out of curiosity about spiritual bodies and because of Xia Zizhu's spiritual body, he had looked through a lot of information about them. He knew some of the more common spiritual bodies. This Gingjin body constitution was one of them. Although it wasn't considered a rare spiritual body, it was still a spiritual body. Knowing that this type of spiritual body, when paired with a spiritual root of the same attribute and cultivating metal attribute cultivation techniques, could match the cultivation speed of a higher grade spiritual root. Moreover, it didn't just enhance the cultivation speed. Cultivating the corresponding attribute techniques, spells, and divine skills would also be more powerful, surpassing those of the same rank. It would be best if it's a metal attribute spiritual root, but it doesn't matter if it's not. Moreover, I have the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, so there's no need to worry about any attribute of cultivation techniques unless my son has a mutant spiritual root. Lu Chongqing exhaled softly. There was now an added anticipation for the future of this child. He was the first prodigy of the Lu family. All the children before had lower-grade spiritual roots. This one not only has a middle-grade spiritual root, but also possesses a spiritual body. Immediately after, Lu Chongqing began his cultivation in a seated position. He personally experienced the effects of this Gingjin body constitution. After a long while. Is it because the child has just been born, and the spiritual body is still growing? After briefly cultivating, Lu Chongqing could feel his intake and outflow of spiritual energy during qi refinement was smoother with the metal attribute. But the effect was not as astounding or transformative as one might imagine. He guessed in his heart that it was because the child was newly born. Like the spiritual root, this Gingjin body constitution was still growing. It needed to reach a certain age to be fully developed. I cultivate the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, and this Gingjin body constitution mainly enhances the lethality of my spells somewhat, not contributing much to cultivation itself. The quickness of metal attribute spiritual energy might even affect the balance I maintain while cultivating the other attributes. Unless in the future I have more children, providing me with one of each of the 5 element spiritual body types, Lu Chongqing mused to himself. He knew that such a spiritual body is best paired with corresponding attribute cultivation techniques. If one cultivates other attribute techniques, it might even be detrimental. And the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture that he cultivated required maintaining a balance among the 7 attributes of yin, yang, and the 5 elements. Lu Chongqing didn't pay too much attention to this. Thinking of the 2 additional draw chances he had, he silently invoked System Draw. Immediately, the system's spinning wheel appeared. Start the draw. Seeing the roulette wheel, Lu Chongqing didn't overthink it. With a thought, he directly initiated the draw. Suddenly, a beam of golden light swiftly moved around the wheel, eventually settling on elixir medicines. Ding! Congratulations, host, on obtaining a 3rd-rank coagulation crystal elixir. Reward has been issued to the system space, available for host to check at any time. An elixir medicine icon emerged from the spinning wheel, accompanied by a system notification. Coagulation crystal elixir. Lu Chongqing was surprised to see what he had drawn. He naturally knew what the coagulation crystal elixir was. It was somewhat similar to the foundation establishment elixir. But it was many times more precious than a foundation establishment elixir. An elixir that could help foundation establishment cultivators increase their chances of reaching core formation and enhance the quality of their core. For most cultivators, even a foundation establishment elixir was a luxury, hard to come by. And this coagulation crystal elixir that aids in core formation, its preciousness could be imagined. Elixir medicine, coagulation crystal elixir, quality, 3rd rank, description. When a cultivator at the peak of foundation establishment attempts core formation, consuming this can increase the chances of core formation by 30% and also improve the quality of the core formed. Within the system space, information about the coagulation crystal elixir appeared. 30% increase in the chances of forming a core, and it even has some benefits to the core's quality. It seems this coagulation crystal elixir is just like the lifespan extension pill I drew before, belonging to the supreme category, which is why it has such effects, Lu Chongqing thought. With this coagulation crystal elixir, I won't have to worry about core formation once I have established my foundation, Lu Chongqing said with a joyful expression. He had initially wanted to draw a foundation establishment elixir. Unexpectedly, his draw turned out to be a coagulation crystal elixir, which was of a higher grade and more precious than a foundation establishment elixir. But core formation is still quite far off for me, Lu Chongqing sighed lightly, deciding not to dwell further on the coagulation crystal elixir. He planned to just store it in the system space. He would take it out when the time came to use it. Continue with the draw. Lu Chongqing looked at the system's spinning wheel in front of him and proceeded with the draw. This was his first time doing consecutive draws. Having just drawn a coagulation crystal elixir, his heart was filled with the expectation of drawing something that he could actually use. Even though coagulation crystal elixirs were precious, at his current stage, they were not immediately usable and would just collect dust. As the draw continued, the golden light on the spinning wheel moved, eventually stopping at the pets category. Chapter 262, Li Feiyu leaves, the Lu family ancestor passes away. _1, ding. Congratulations, host, for obtaining a six-winged golden silkworm larva. The reward has been delivered to the system space. The host can check at any time. A golden insect pattern with a shiny glow and a pair of wings on its back emerged from the big roulette wheel, accompanied by the sound of a system notification. Six-winged golden silkworm. Lu Chongqing looked at the reward drawn by the system, his eyebrows raised. He hadn't expected that among pet beasts, there were not only beasts but also bugs. This means that the pet lottery encompasses everything: feathers, fur, scales, insects, plants, and so on. If that's the case, in the future if I draw a plant demon pet, I won't have to worry about the spirit plants for cultivating the heavenly longevity technique. Lu Chongqing thought to himself. He had not forgotten the heavenly longevity technique he had acquired from Xiaolong. He had always thought that once he had the strength and conditions, he would have his wives and children plant trees for cultivation. Without further thought, Lu Changsheng's mental spirit gave a slight stir as he looked towards the six-winged golden silkworm he had just drawn. Magical bug, six-winged golden silkworm, rank, heaven rank superior, description, one of the ancient rare insect species, lays eggs once every 100 years, hatches into larvae after another century. Newly hatched larvae have only one pair of wings, but mature ones have three. They are fearless against divine skills and magic, but are ferocious, with low intelligence and difficult to tame. SSS, a heaven rank superior magical bug? Even a rank higher than the 9 Netherhounds bloodline. I wonder how long it will take for this six-winged golden silkworm to mature and develop 6 wings. Lu Chongqing considered the information about the six-winged golden silkworm, thinking to himself. What concerned him most was how long it would take for the six-winged golden silkworm to grow. After all, at the moment, the most challenging part about pet beasts was their cultivation phase. Cultivation times spanning dozens or hundreds of years were truly testing. For example, the 9 Netherhound had been at first-grade primary level for many years. Only about half a year ago, when Lu Chongqing finally had some surplus funds, he bought some spiritual beast pills for Lu Pingon to feed it regularly. It's now almost reaching the first-grade middle stage. Regarding the system's description that the six-winged golden silkworm is ferocious, unintelligent, and hard to tame, Lu Chongqing didn't take it to heart at all. What does difficulty in taming have to do with him? Extract. With a flicker of his mental spirit, Lu Chongqing took the six-winged golden silkworm out of the system space. Instantly, a golden silkworm about an inch long, as thick as a little finger, appeared. This silkworm had a pair of thin, cicad-like wings behind it. The wings shimmered with a faint golden light and emanated a violent and murderous aura. The six-winged golden silkworm lays eggs every 100 years, hatches in another 100, and when the larvae hatch, they are as hard as iron, comparable to magic artifacts, and immune to primary-level techniques. To grow from a larva to a four-winged silkworm, it takes 200 years, equivalent to third-rank strength. To grow from 4 wings to 6 wings, corresponding to fourth-rank peak, it needs 1,000 years. Lu Chongqing looked at the six-winged golden silkworm in his hand and developed a general understanding of its condition. Impressive, indeed. Just hatched larvae had almost the strength of the first-grade later stages. After raising it for a few decades, it would have the strength of a second-rank foundation establishment. Once it went through its first metamorphosis and grew its second pair of wings, it would have third-rank strength. Another 1,000 years of growth to sprout the third pair of wings and it would be at the peak of fourth rank, comparable to 5th rank. For a demon beast, this time frame is not long. But for Lu Chongqing, it was way too long. Pet beasts are of little use to me at my current stage, they can't directly enhance my strength. However, if these pet beasts can be cultivated and grow, they will all be formidable indeed, probably invincible at their respective ranks. Lu Chongqing sighed slightly, shaking his head. He then tried to sense the 6-winged golden silkworm before him. Just like with the 9 netherhound and the peach blossom goo, he felt a connection with this 6-winged golden silkworm. But just as the system description said, this 6-winged golden silkworm was ferocious, not intelligent, and it was impossible to communicate properly. He could only transmit some simple commands. For example, to kill. If it weren't for the system having tamed it for me, this 6-winged golden silkworm would probably kill anyone it saw. For now, let's just raise it. If I can find the corresponding methods to control and tame insects, the growth of this 6-winged golden silkworm could be sped up quite a bit. Lu Chongqing thought to himself without lingering further. He then put the 6-winged golden silkworm into the spiritual pet bag that held the Lockhart goo. The Lockhart goo, which looked listless and as if it was on its last breath, suddenly became alert as if it was frightened by the 6-winged golden silkworm. Seeing this scene, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but think of Meng Xiaoqian. She was clearly proficient in the art of insect control. He wondered if she knew how to cultivate the 6-winged golden silkworm. If there were corresponding cultivation methods, then its growth rate could be greatly increased. But Lu Chongqing didn't ponder on it too much. His only connection to her was through the Lockhart goo. He had no idea where she had gone now. Moreover, for a rare magical insect like the 6-winged golden silkworm, it was feared that cultivation methods were hard to come by. Jin Kingdom, the southern border mountains. In the bleak and wild swamps of the mountains, a girl in a purple dress commanded a swarm of insects to kill several snake demon beasts. After letting the swarm of insects and a blood-colored spider consume the bodies of the snake demon beasts, the girl continued on her way. When she emerged from the swamp and saw the peak shrouded in purple-black clouds, mysterious and towering into the clouds ahead, her face showed a look of surprise. Grandma said that my great-grandma was once the heaven spider emissary of the 5 Poisons cult, one of the 3 great demon sects of the southern border of Jin Kingdom. The 5 Poisons cult is skilled in the arts of goo poison and spiritual beasts. I have the 1,000 Poisons body and can hold great-grandma's token to join the 5 Poisons cult. If only I hadn't lost the Lockhart goo, with it, I might have been able to become the holy maiden of the 5 Poisons cult. Chapter 263, Li Feiyu departs, the Lu family ancestor enters eternal rest. Meng Xiaoqian looked at the spiritual vein mountain in front of her, feeling a sense of regret in her heart. The thought of the Lockhart goo caused a slight throb in her heart. She remembered that handsome young man with the upright figure. It said that the unique Phoenix goo of the 5 Poisons cult can cultivate the Phoenix Nirvana technique, which allows one to undergo a nirvana of fire, to be born and extinguished in the blink of an eye, washing away all the worldly impurities. I wonder if it could remove the effects of the Lockhart goo. This thought suddenly occurred to Meng Xiaoqian. But as soon as the idea surfaced, her heart fluttered uneasily. She shook her head gently, dispersing the thought. Who goes there? In front of the towering mountain gate, 2 disciples in black stood watch. Seeing Meng Xiaoqian, they stepped forward to inquire. The 5 Poisons God Mountain was the domain of the 5 Poisons sect, naturally not just anyone could approach freely. My name is Meng Xiaoqian, a descendant of the heavenly spider envoy of the 5 Poisons sect. Meng Xiaoqian produced a token from her sleeve and handed it to one of the disciples. A descendant of the heavenly spider envoy. The 2 disciples examined the token, exchanging glances. One of them promptly said, "Fellow Daoist, please wait here, I shall go and report this." About the time it takes an incense stick to burn. A purple escape light shot down from the 5 Poisons mountain, appearing before Meng Xiaoqian in the blink of an eye. Disciple pays respect to the heavenly spider emissary. The remaining purple-clothed disciple rushed to bow and pay respects upon seeing the newcomer. So you are the descendant of my master. The newcomer was a 28 or 29-year-old woman in purple. Her face was stunningly beautiful and seductive, her skin as fair as snow. A pair of long, shapely legs, full and symmetrical. 2 crystal-clear feet, white throughout without a single flaw, like jade carvings, they seemed like pieces of art that one couldn't help but want to hold and carefully admire. Hers was a figure that seemed frail and slender in her sumptuous purple gauze, curvaceous in all the right spots yet appearing as if she couldn't withstand a strong wind, endlessly alluring. Her narrow, phoenix-like eyes were deep and dark, emanating a bizarre charm as she surveyed Meng Xiaochan before her. Beneath the corners of her phoenix eyes, a single tear mole added a pity-invoking allure to her already enchanting appearance. Junior greets senior. Meng Xiaochan respectfully nodded. She took some insect eggs from her storage bag, then released a blood-colored spider. Blood jade spider, it looks like you are indeed the master's descendant. The woman in purple slightly nodded, her expression turned much softer as she said, "You've come to 5 Poisons Mountain? Are you looking to join our 5 Poison sect?" "Yes, senior, I wish to join 5 Poisons Mountain," Meng Xiaochan said respectfully. "Since you are the master's descendant, would you be willing to be my disciple?" The woman in purple looked at Meng Xiaochan, saying with a smile. "Xiaochan is willing." Meng Xiaochan responded immediately upon hearing this. "Good, from today on, you are now a disciple of Nangong Meili," Nangong Meili said with a light laugh. Afterward, Nangong Meili swept her sleeves and brought Meng Xiaochan into the 5 Poisons Mountain. 10 days after Lu Miaowan gave birth. The child in Lu Miaoya's belly was also born. It was a girl. This child also had a spiritual root. But it was only a 7th grade spiritual root. Since Lu Miaohuan's child had come first, it had raised Lu Changsheng's expectations. Seeing that the child only had a 7th grade spiritual root, there was a slight sense of disappointment in his heart. However, he immediately adjusted his mindset. After all, having a spiritual root was already quite impressive. How could everyone be exceptionally talented? This must be the result of good breeding, Lu Chongqing thought to himself. The fact that both Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan had given birth to children, although luck played a part, also showed that the higher the cultivation level of the parents, the higher the quality of the spiritual root, and thus the higher the probability of their children possessing spiritual roots. The quality of the spiritual root was also likely to be better. After Lu Miaoge gave birth, Lu Chongqing stayed in Qingzhou Mountain for 3 days before returning to 9 Dragons Market. Since both women had given birth, he had been on leave for a while, so it was not good to delay any further. Back in 9 Dragons Market, Lu Chongqing searched for some books about insects. He also purchased various spiritual materials to try and nourish the 6-winged golden silkworm, and pondered what to feed it. Blood. The 6-winged golden silkworm could consume blood, whether it was meat or vegetables. This made Lu Chongqing think to himself that the 6-winged golden silkworm was truly of a brutal nature. 2 months later, Lu Chongqing returned to the mundane world, to visit his wives and children. That day, Li Feiyu also came to bid farewell to Lu Chongqing. He indicated that he was ready to leave Rui County City and wanted to make a name for himself in the cultivation world. "Feiyu, where do you plan to go for your cultivation journey?" Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing asked. He had previously mentioned Red Leaf Valley Market and said it would be built and open in about half a year. But seeing Li Feiyu's demeanor, he clearly was not planning to go to Red Leaf Valley Market. Lu Chongqing had a rough understanding of his friend's thoughts. He knew Li Feiyu had his own pride and stubbornness. He did not want to rely on others for an easy life. Knowing that going to Red Leaf Valley Market, there would be little chance for encounters or achievements. I haven't decided yet, but am planning to check out Azure Phoenix Immortal City, Li Feiyu said with a carefree and casual look. Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Lu Chongqing paused for a moment when he heard this. He certainly knew of Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Jiang Country had 3 great immortal cities. Zhuxiao Immortal City in the central part, the #1 immortal city in Jiang Country, with incredibly prosperous cultivator marketplaces. Great Dream Immortal City located at the northern border, backed by the Great Dream Marsh. This marsh was boundless, shrouded in mist all year round, blocking the divine sense of cultivators. It was said that even nascent soul immortals who entered would never come back. Therefore, no one knew what lay beyond the Great Dream Marsh. Some rumors said it was a forbidden land of absolute death. Others claimed it was an even vaster and more affluent cultivation world. Chapter 264, Li Feiyu departs, the Lu family ancestor passes away. The Azure Phoenix Immortal City is located on the southern border of Jiang Country, close to the Myriad Beasts mountain range, and borders Yu Country. Not only can one go to the mountain range to temper oneself and hunt demon beasts for money, but one can also go to Yu Country to interact with Yu Country cultivators. At ordinary times, many Yu Country cultivators gather in the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, which is considered a holy land for loose cultivators. Many loose cultivators who aspire to make a name for themselves will go to the Azure Phoenix Immortal City to take their chances. But likewise, such a place is incomparably dangerous. The level of danger is estimated to be tens of times that of the 9 Dragons Market. Every year, countless cultivators are buried in the wilderness, unknown. The cultivation world is so vast, one must see it. I heard the Azure Phoenix Immortal City is a holy land for loose cultivators, and as a loose cultivator myself, naturally, I should go and see. I'm not saying I'll make something big out of it, but at least I'll witness the cultivation world. Li Feiyu said with a smirk. He had made inquiries about the Azure Phoenix Immortal City and naturally knew its dangers. But danger and opportunity coexist. For an ordinary loose cultivator, if one wishes to rise above others, this is the best place. Otherwise, with his 7th grade spiritual root, rolling in the secular world or small marketplaces, it would be difficult for him to achieve much in this lifetime. There's a year and a half left in our 10-year pact, will you come then? Lu Chongqing inquired. Previously, Hong Yi had written to inquire of Xiao Xie, Xiao Qingqing, and Han Lin about the 10-year pact. All 3 had agreed, expressing that they would get together at that time. I'm not planning to head directly to the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, but instead to travel around first. After attending the pact, then I'll truly head to the Azure Phoenix Immortal City. Li Feiyu didn't hide his thoughts either. He knew the Azure Phoenix Immortal City was extremely dangerous. And he wouldn't just head there blindly. Although he had gained considerable understanding of the cultivation world over the years, he had not truly stepped into it. Most of his time was spent on Qingzhou Mountain, and his knowledge of the cultivation world wasn't direct enough. He planned to spend this next year and a half facing and adapting to the cruelty of the cultivation world. Chongqing, if I don't come back by then, please help take care of my home. Li Feiyu continued to speak. He had said this before. But now, just before leaving, he said it again. I've agreed to this, but I believe that situation will not arise. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, without the mood for jokes. He took out a stack of talismans, a first-grade middle-grade puppet, 300 spirit stones, and a storage bag. Feiyu, take care of yourself, keep these things for self-defense. When you return, well, drink and revel together. Lu Chongqing said this. Li Feiyu was his first friend in this world. He had even saved his life once. Now that the other was about to venture out for training experiences, one could imagine how hard and dangerous it would be. Naturally, he hoped his good brother would have smooth sailing. It's too precious, I can't accept it. Li Feiyu immediately shook his head when he saw the nearly 100 talismans, a puppet, and so many spirit stones. When he was in Qingzhou Mountain, relying on his own hard work, he could earn 5 or 6 spirit stones a month. Now in the secular world, by teaching Lu Changsheng's children and working with Hong Yi, he earned an average of about 10 spirit stones a month. What Lu Changsheng was offering was a considerable sum of money for him. If you still consider me a brother, then keep it. I can afford it now, and you will need some magic artifacts when you go out. Use these spirit stones to buy a few artifacts for self-defense. Lu Changsheng spoke with a solemn expression. Li Feiyu was only at the 4th level of his qi refinement. Even though he had the strength of a martial Dao innate grandmaster. But against a cultivator in the energy refinement middle stage wielding magic artifacts, he could easily suffer. If he had talismans and magic artifacts by his side, he would be much safer. He didn't offer his own magic artifacts because, apart from the green face sword and a few others, all were of high grade or exquisite quality, which Li Feiyu couldn't utilize. Okay, I'll just owe you then. Li Feiyu, looking at Lu Changsheng's expression, took a deep breath and nodded earnestly. Then he said with a carefree attitude, "Don't worry." Li Feiyu began adventuring through the world at the age of 12, traveling to all corners. It's not that easy for me to stumble and fall. Just to repay this debt, I will also make sure to live well. Li Feiyu said this. Subsequently, the two chatted for a long time. More than a decade of cultivation life had many memories worth reflecting upon. Especially since this might be the last time the two of them talked. The next day, Li Feiyu called Hong Yi over, and the three of them had a meal together before parting ways. At the moment of departure, Hong Yi also presented a lower-grade flying sword to Li Feiyu, advising him to take good care of himself. Sigh. Lu Changsheng watched Li Feiyu's retreating figure and sighed deeply. His heart was laden with the heavy feeling associated with live separations and death's finality. With the talisman and puppet by his side, and relying on Feiyu's own strength and means, he should be able to fight against cultivators at the energy refinement late stage, or at least escape. Moreover, in the cultivation world, anything can happen. From cliff diving to find treasures to accidentally entering the secret realm of an ancient cultivator's cave, who knows, Feiyu might just stumble upon an opportunity. Lu Changsheng consoled himself in his heart. He didn't indulge too much in sorrow or sentimentality. He discussed with Hong Yi about the Red Leaf Valley market. It would be almost half a year before it would be completed and open. He had already alerted the Lu family about the matter of the market's entry spots. However, as for the shops, only ordinary ones with mediocre locations were available to them. The desirable shop locations had been mostly retained by the 4 major families or allocated to other powers. Lu Changsheng learned that to establish the Red Leaf Valley market, the Lu, Bai, Yu, and Jing families had all invested a great deal of thought and energy. Not only had they made expenditures to appease Qingyun sect, but they had also semi-gifted some shops and cave dwellings to certain powers. To this, Hong Yi minded not the slightest. Because for the better shops, the Rui Marquis mansion lacked enough spirit stones and simply couldn't afford them. If it weren't for the light cast by Lu Changsheng, they might not have even secured such an ordinary shop. In the blink of an eye, another 2 months had passed. On this day, the second elder sought out Lu Changsheng and informed him that he must immediately return to the family. The Lu family ancestor had passed away. The ancestor has passed away. In the past, Lu Changsheng had seen hints of the deathly aura upon the Lu family ancestor and knew his end was near. But he hadn't expected it to come so swiftly, so suddenly. Recalling how just a year ago this elder had presided over his wedding, he couldn't help but feel emotional. The ancestor had always hoped to see the Red Leaf Valley market completed, to take a good look at it, but sadly, he didn't make it to that day. The second elder said with a sad expression. Those high within the Lu family ranks understood the Lu family ancestor's health more acutely than Lu Changsheng. After the great battle at Red Leaf Valley, the Lu family ancestor knew his days were numbered and had started making arrangements for after his demise. His only lingering regret was his wish to see the Red Leaf Valley market. Yet in the end, the Lu family ancestor did not live to see that day. Soon after, Lu Chongqing followed the second elder and several Lu family disciples back to Qingzhou Mountain. The Lu family disciples gradually returned to Qingzhou Mountain. All over the mountain, everyone's mood was somber with sorrow. Cultivation families are maintained through the bonds of blood and kinship. All of the family disciples, from a young age nurtured by the family, practicing cultivation, marrying, bearing children, spreading branches and leaves, all on this land. And the Lu family ancestor was the sky within the hearts of all Lu family disciples. Now with the ancestor's passing, it was natural for all to be engulfed in profound grief. Several days later, in the Lu family ancestral hall, alas, the ancestor lived a life of diligence, dedicated to our family. Now that his soul has returned to the heavens and earth, we the younger generations of the Lu family are filled with inconsolable sorrow. Lu Yuanding mourned with a face full of grief. He spoke of the Lu family ancestors' contributions and merits to the family. After the eulogy was delivered, Lu Yuanzhong stepped forward. He escorted the Lu family ancestors' spirit tablet into the ancestral hall, then lit 3 sticks of incense, and bowed solemnly. He announced loudly, Lu Yuanzhong of the Lu family bids farewell to the ancestor as his soul returns to the heavens and earth. The Lu family disciples bid farewell to the ancestor as his soul returns to the heavens and earth. The Lu family disciples bid farewell to the ancestor as his soul returns to the heavens and earth. The Lu family disciples bid farewell to the ancestor as his soul returns to the heavens and earth. At this moment, all the Lu family disciples together echoed the call, bowing in salute. This must be the transmission of the family bloodline, right? Compared to the Lu's cultivators who are like duckweed in the wind, the Lu family ancestor was able to pass away at home and be buried in the family spirit land, his spirit tablet placed in the ancestral hall with his life's achievements recorded in the family records. His life can be considered fulfilled. After all, not all cultivators can live long and prosperous lives. It is through this manner that one's bloodline, one's spirit, continues to be passed down and endure. Lu Chongqing also bowed and chanted along, his emotions stirred. He began to understand why family ties in this world were so deep. On one hand, it's maintained by the bonds of blood and kinship. On the other, it's about how one is irrevocably bound to the family from the moment of birth, bound for life. Within the entire family, everyone is striving for a shared goal, a common belief. Chapter 265, Uncle Returned. _1 Cultivators care less about the trivial formalities of the secular world. After worshipping the spirit tablet of the Lu family ancestor, the ceremony is considered over once everyone has offered 3 sticks of incense. The crowd gradually dispersed. Just as Lu Chongqing was about to leave, Lu Yuanding, the newly advanced ancestor, called out to him. Chongqing, how is your cultivation progressing? Lu Yuanzhong had a scholarly appearance, bearing some resemblance to Lu Yuanding. Lu Chongqing also knew that this ancestor Yuanzhong was indeed the blood brother of his father-in-law, Lu Yuanding. Therefore, he should address this ancestor as uncle father-in-law. However, in cultivation families like Qingzhou Mountain, as soon as one succeeds in foundation establishment, their generational status automatically rises to that of an ancestor. Reporting to ancestor, I am currently at the 6th level of Qi refinement, and I estimate it will take 3 more years to reach the peak of the 6th level, Lu Chongqing replied. That was what Lu Chongqing said, having declared 2 years earlier that he was at the 6th level of Qi refinement and naturally not daring to overstate his progress. Very good, Lu Yuanzhong commented with a slight nod after hearing this. After giving Lu Chongqing a few appraising looks, he took out a jade scroll. I've heard that you have been cultivating the Chongqun technique, and this greenwood art is a high-grade cultivation technique treasured by our Lu family. You should take it and cultivate it, Yuanding said. If there's anything you don't understand, you can also ask Yuan Ding. He cultivates this greenwood art as well, Yuan Zhong added. Lu Chongqing was somewhat surprised to hear this. He had not expected Lu Yuanzhong to stop him just to give him a cultivation technique. Having been busy in Red Leaf Valley Market over the past year, Lu Chongqing had rarely interacted with the newly advanced ancestor. They had only met briefly a couple of times. He hadn't expected that immediately following the death of the Lu family ancestor, the latter would express goodwill toward him. "Thank you very much, ancestor." Lu Chongqing immediately expressed his gratitude with respect. Although he already possessed the Seven Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture and did not need this greenwood art, it was nevertheless a gesture of kindness. After all, to his knowledge, the highest level techniques treasured by the Lu family were a few high-grade cultivation techniques. Now that they're willing to pass on one to him, they have effectively accepted him as one of their own. Remember, this technique is for your cultivation only and must not be passed on, Lu Yuanding cautioned. Ancestor, please rest assured, Chongqing understands, Lu Chongqing nodded and replied. Having spent so many years in Nine Dragons Market, he had come to understand why the inheritance of techniques in the cultivation world is so scarce and precious. These inheritances originate from immortal sects, families, or loose cultivators. Immortal sects, as the primary suppliers, prohibit the sale of high-grade cultivation techniques and skill inheritances within their territories to continuously harvest excellent disciples and affordable labor. This is why they are forbidden from selling advanced methods. And why would any cultivation family want to sell the very foundation that sustains them? They prefer to abide by this rule, preventing leakages of such inheritances and partaking in the benefits. Loose cultivators are no different. It's improbable for them to selflessly risk censure by selling high-grade techniques. Most choose to deal privately instead. Thus, most loose cultivators who wish to obtain higher-order techniques or inheritances are either reliant on fortunate encounters or, should they possess a decent talent, join a cultivation family or a faction under an immortal sect. This has become an unwritten rule in the cultivation world. Primary level techniques and first-grade skill inheritances are commonplace and can be purchased with a few spirit stones. But if one wishes to advance further without fortune, they must find a way to join a power and be exploited. This is why the third young master of the Yu family once offered high-grade techniques and insights into foundation establishment to tempt Lu Chongqing. "All right, you may go about your business now," said Lu Yuanzhong, patting Lu Chongqing on the shoulder without much else to add. "Yes, ancestor," Lu Chongqing replied, bowing slightly before taking his leave. Lu Chongqing, Lu Yuanzhong muttered the name to himself as he watched Changsheng's retreating figure, recalling the last wish of the Lu family ancestor and the value he had placed on Chongqing. He exhaled softly. 3 days later, the second elder informed Lu Chongqing to return to Nine Dragons Market. "Chongqing, do you want me to look after the spiritual talisman shop?" Lu Miaoge asked, holding her daughter, Lu Qingzhu, and speaking softly. Having recovered from childbirth, she was ready to take on some of Lu Changsheng's burdens. "No need, Sister Miaoge, you should stay at home and cultivate, and learn talisman making with Grandma. If you go to the marketplace, it will distract you and hinder your cultivation. Besides, Qingzhu is still small and needs your care," Lu Chongqing said, pinching his daughter's chubby cheek with a smile. Lu Miaoge's talisman-making skill was currently transitioning from an upper-grade talisman master to a top-level talisman master. Therefore, he did not want his wife to run back and forth between two places and be overburdened. "All right," Lu Miaoge replied with a tender smile. Having become a mother, her clear and ethereal countenance was now often adorned with a gentle and maternal smile. She continued, "Chongqing, the Red Leaf Valley Market will open in a few months. The family plans to open a talisman shop there, and they want me to oversee and manage it. If you find Nine Dragons Market too far, I can go there, and you can take my place in Red Leaf Valley Market," she suggested. Despite being a wife, her disposition remained as gentle as water, nurturing an almost motherly kindness. "Sister Miaoge, the Lu family ancestor had given me a shop in Red Leaf Valley. and am planning to set up a talisman shop there, so for 9 Dragons Market, I intend to let Grandma find someone to manage it, Lu Chongqing said, pondering slightly. The Lu family ancestor had rewarded him with a shop and a cave dwelling in Red Leaf Valley Market. Now that the market was about to open, Lu Chongqing did not want to simply rent out the shop and dwelling. He was thinking of establishing another talisman shop there.